So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very, very warm welcome to round 5 of the SMRC eSports Summer Championship. And it's been a while, hasn't it? It feels like forever since we've been back here, and yeah, we've got everything going. So, round 5 is at Nurburgring GP, and joining me tonight is the very welcome return of Tom Davis. Tom, you had a couple of weeks to recover from the madness that was Le Mans. How on earth are you?
I'm fantastic, and I'm looking forward to seeing the guys back in their Ginetta GT5s. I think they've had lots of practice in these cars, and we'll see some close, but maybe less spinning related racing.
Less spinning related. I'm pretty sure I heard Murray Walker saying exactly the same thing once at the European Grand Prix. But yeah, brilliant to have you back. Nürburgring, obviously a very, very difficult challenge for these cars. What do you think we're going to see tonight?
I think lots of close racing. The track lends itself really nicely to these cars, so you've got a little bit of banking to help you out, and there's a couple lines through each corner in terms of either braking late or braking early and getting back on the power as soon as possible. And all of them kind of even out pretty much, so it should produce some really good wheel-to-wheel action.
Yep, I think that's spot on analysis there from Tom Davis. So we have got our first group of qualifiers on the go just now. Remember, 10 minutes back to normal. That is what we can expect from qualifying and from the races. 10 lap races and 10 minute races and a 10-minute qualifying session as well. This is who we have up tonight. PlayStation Heat 1 then. We have got 10 cars out of the 15 that we were due to get. You will say 11 because I accidentally joined the session. Rusty, it's been a while, so yeah, what can I say? So we've got 10 cars on the grid, but on the list we have got Alan Gordon, Andrew McIlvright, Glenn Alcott, Kevin Barry, Kieran Preedy, Craig Blake, Ewan McKenna, Fraser McNeil, Kenneth Brewster, Annie Butterworth, Andy Sedgley, Dave Noonan, Thomas Comer, Stephen Henderson and Andy Hunter. And I can tell you that Kevin Barry and Kieran Preedy are not joining us tonight. They have got other plans and they cannot make it to the session. So, now the one thing that I like being connected as an actual driver, Thomas, rather than as a spectator, is that the client updates a little bit more, so it looks a lot smoother compared to how we see it as a spectator here.
Yeah, and it's a nice little change to things. I can see the timing screen a little bit better as well on my end than I could last time. We should be a little bit more up to date, and someone there was potentially not up to date off the road, I think, on a warm-up lap, so that's not great for one of the drivers, but they'll just be getting their eye in. No time's going in quite yet.
Yep, so let's go on board and have a little look at the bumper cam here as we run down through the lap. And actually, this is the other great thing about being connected to the session, is the fact that you can actually take away the interface, which is wonderful. So I think we're on our way down here towards turn 7 and slowly making our way up the hill towards the Michael Schumacher S's. And a wonderful section of the track this bit's so easy to get wrong, turns 8 and 9 here. It's all about the entry into turn 8. Turn 9 is an absolute puppy of a corner, so easy and so docile, but again it's so easy to outbrake yourself, Tom, on the entry to turn 10 here.
Yeah, but it's one where you can get away with it, because again, like we saw at Le Mans just a couple of weeks ago, the banking on the corner actually helps you. The camber kind of pulls you in towards the corner, so if you go deep, you can stay on the brakes a little bit longer and still get the turn-in capability.
Yep, so just coming through, that was the Warsteiner curve, and through the Advan Bogen, and then it's up to the NGK chicane. Turns 13, 14, again, you really have to take off a little bit more speed than you would think you have to, just to get the car in and doing what you ask it to do. So once that's done, it's then round the final corner and then on across the finish line. So good evening to everyone in chat. Good evening to Edward Porter, to Teen Patterson, and to McNabb Motorsports, Stephen McNabb, on supporting Josh McNabb, who is out in action on the Xbox later tonight. So times coming in. 2:15 seem to be the order of the day just now. We've got that's Thomas Comer up there with a 2:15.008, and then it is going to be, I think that's Kenneth Brewster. He was super fast. So 2:15.389, and then Alan Gordon in third place with Annie Butterworth in fourth place as well. But it's still early. I mean, they've still got, what, 4.5 minutes left to go?
Yeah, and I'd anticipate these times to come down a wee bit, because we know these guys, they're right on it. And to put it into perspective, the Ginetta GT5 Project Cars 2 lap record around here is a 2:12.3, so we might not get right down to that one, but you can expect some 2:14s, 2:13s coming in up from the really quick guys.
Well, personally, I'm quite pleased that I'm not sounding frantically stressed, Tom, because up to about an hour and a half ago, I'd moved around the office this week, and of course decided to go and fire up the PlayStation, the Xbox, and none of my power line adapters were working, so I had no internet connectivity up until about 25 minutes ago. So yeah, stressful times.
Yeah, show must go on. We got here. We're here to give a fantastic show, and Thomas Comer, I believe that is, he's certainly doing it at the moment. He's almost 4/10 clear of the field, and the guys behind him are then separated by about the same margin. So he'll be feeling pretty comfortable at the top, because even if, say, Brewster does catch him, he probably won't drop any lower than third as it stands.
Yeah, that's a great point actually as well, because we've seen it's one thing qualifying well, but actually being able to put that pace out onto the track is another thing completely. Edward Porter, Tom, has put a great little line in chat there. We were speaking beforehand, and he's actually been on Project Cars himself, so he's a little bit new to the game, and he's looking forward to aspiring to jump in for the next championship. So I think we'll very much like to have Edward involved.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic to have him. The more the merrier is what they say, of course, often in reference to dwarves, I think. But in this case, in reference to drivers.
Sorry.
We can't wait to have Edward along if he'd be happy to join us. I believe that's Brewster just across the line with no improvement as well. So he's staying just about there, and the guy at the top of the timing screen, he's not had that lap come in as a result of track limits. So he might have been up, but he'll come round and try once more.
Where do I even go from there? That was something else. Right, 2 minutes left to go in the session. We hope you've had a wonderful little break there. We've been off for just over a week now. We had the finals on Sunday for Le Mans, and that was a really enjoyable session. So we hope that everyone's paying attention to their penalties if they have got them, and this is going to be one of the slickest starts you will see so far, Thomas, because I don't know if you're familiar with what happens with Project Cars, but because I've joined the session, forgot to set myself as a spectator, the SMRC eSports account actually appears as a car on the grid, so within 5 seconds I've got to hammer that start button and pull myself off the grid before I kill anyone on track. So it won't be too bad, because we'll be right at the back, but we'll make it look glamorous.
Yeah, race against time for qualifying box. As I believe that's Andy Sedgley we're on board with at the moment, and quite a few yellow cars in this one. We'll keep our eye on that. This one, of course, is Andy Sedgley, and he's looking pretty tidy as it stands, but not overly fast. He's staying a long way off of pretty much all of the curbs, and that's a bit of a tricky situation to be in, because some of them really offset you. There's a few huge ones, particularly at that final NGK chicane, but in other places you can ride up them, and it will gain you lap time if you're brave enough.
Thomas O'Connor on chat is saying, "Get a lap in, David." You've no idea how tempted I am. If we've got enough time, I'll hook up the wheel before we switch over to Xbox and get that sorted out and show you how it's done. Nurburgring is one of the few tracks I can actually comfortably do a few laps in, because I really do enjoy the track here. It's a wonderful track. Personally, I'm obsessed with the Nordschleife. It's one of my bucket list things to do, to head over to Germany and go for there. They do the Sim Racing Expo over there, and then I actually had it planned out last year. I was going to go to one of the other esports events that I'm into is Counter-Strike. They were having a big event there in Germany, and it's about 20 minutes away from the Nurburgring. But enough about that, because the time has come to start. David Croft, start please. David Christie, right? No, Andrew, you asked me for that 2 weeks ago. It's not going to happen. Edward, I'm up for that. Let's get a little charity race on the go. We'll get Tom. Do you fancy jumping in on that one?
I could. I'll just try not to get lapped, but I can give it a go.
It's all right. We'll take it in turns to send Edward Porter to the moon. But yeah, there we go. 2 minutes left to go in the session then, and the finish line has, or rather the checkered flag has come out. It looks like Thomas Comer's comfortable on top there with a 2:15.118. Let's bring up time screens here. Kenny Brewster in second place with a 2:15.1166. He's in pit lane. We've got Alan Gordon in third place, Annie Butterworth in fourth, Andrew McGilvright in fifth place. You've then got Bunyip Adventures, that is of course Kevin Barry in sixth place. You've got Super Grover 2.0, which is Andy Sedgley in seventh, Glenn Alcock in eighth place. And then you've got We Drew, that's Andy Hunter, Swimfins 1, which is Dave Noonan in 10th, and then look at that, SMRC eSports in 11th place. So there you go, that's who we have got out in this session, and then we are going to be ready to go and watch this race. So Tom, who are we thinking is going to be one to watch for the session ahead?
Well, obviously, you've got to put some amount of bet on the pole man. Thomas Comer's done very well, but Brewster was just over 3/10 back. He's got it down to just over 1/10. And then the same gap is there between Alan Gordon. He managed to reduce the gap by 3/10 in the last part of qualifying too. So all three of those top guys could be in with this shout. I'm not going to give you a full gamble because I will 100% get it wrong, but I think Brewster leading the championship, you would have to be silly to bet against them.
Well, I'm just going to stall for time while I go and watch the remainder of the race. There we go, that's wonderful. Did that, and nobody even noticed apart from the fact that we're on board with my virtual car there. Here we are though, the cars are starting to form onto the grid before we get ready to go. And I'm quite excited about this one. I think Thomas is in a very, very good place. But Annie Butterworth in fourth, and for me, Glenn Alcock as well in eighth place. He's got a big chance to do this. Yeah,
and it's the classic case of the guys at the front have everything to lose, but they have the pace if they can utilise it. The guys behind have nothing left to lose.
Here we go then, the lights come on the bridge and away we go. It's a great start for Thomas Comer and kind of drops actually Kenny Brewster. Oh, we've got contact beside, that is Annie Butterworth coming over to hit Alan Gordon and cover off, and I think they're all trying to get into the inside line for that first turn here.
Yeah, the inside's so important because it just drops away towards the right. So if you can hook it up on the inside, you'll be so much quicker. That's why you see everybody trying to dive around the outside. Thomas Comer holds the lead, but Alan Gordon up into P2 and Brewster's dropping back already. Keep an eye on Andrew McIlvright. You mentioned he'd be up there. He's already up into P3 and he looks very racy into the left-hander at turn number 3. Through this surprisingly tricky right, it all just kind of evens out, but he did get the move done. He's up into P number 3, and he'll be trying to get in the slipstream, hold firm for a little bit and see what you can do, because with Brewster behind, there's going to be a little bit of pressure coming eventually.
Yep, 5-car battle then for second place, for the lead actually, because Thomas Comer trying to break away there. He has got a little bit of a gap there over Alan Gordon in second place. Andy Hunter in third place. Cracking start from We Drew, making it all the way up to there. In fact, excuse me, that's Andrew McIlvright rather, that's up into third place. Kenny Brewster is desperately trying to fend off Annie Butterworth, and Annie seems to do this time and time again. She'll just sit in that mid pack and then just pick them off one by one.
Yeah, she's quite calm about how she approaches it. She doesn't feel the need to get the move done now and start progressing up. She knows there'll be mistakes up ahead, and she really hopes that she can then capitalise on that pressure.
So lap 1 then here at the Nurburgring, 10 minutes of a race. We've got 8 minutes left to go here, and it's your leader Thomas Comer coming through the back half of the circuit here just now. I think that is going to be them coming up towards the chicane. It is through the jinking left-right, which marks the penultimate corners, and then it is on to corner number 15. So again, a 5-car battle, but we see somebody going off in the background there. I think that was that Andy Sedgley? It was. Super Grover 2.0 reversing back onto the track. Where is he going? That is a wheel malfunction. That is every day of the week. That's going to be something has happened with his accelerator pedal. It's jammed on. He's tried to get the gears down, and it's not really happened.
Yeah, he's sorted it out now, so potentially a quick little unplug it, plug it back in again, and just hope it all recalibrates. He's dropped out of that fight, but Annie Butterworth's still very much there, still hunting. They're looking left and right, and there was a little bit of a move there from Brewster. He's on the inside, and McIlvright very deep into turn number 3. That's going to open the door. Annie Butterworth says thank you very much, and he's just dropping away, and will hopefully now be able to regroup from that. But
I wonder if that's a slowdown penalty for Andrew McIlvright. That would explain why he was out wide there, Tom. Perhaps.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the options available. Brewster will say thank you, however, because again, we mentioned Butterworth's quite happy to sit. Brewster's the same. He's clear at the top of the championship, so as long as he gets through, he's happy. He doesn't need to assert dominance because he already has it, but now he comes under pressure. Butterworth looking up the inside. Brewster very cleverly just positions the car in the middle of the road, then picks up a late apex to stop any cutback opportunity at the hairpin. Head up towards the Schumacher S, and there won't really be an opportunity here, so you'll be looking 2 turns time. You just got to get a good run. Hook the wheel up on the curb, helps get the car rotated, and you can put less steering lock in, so it's a little bit unknown as to which of those is actually quicker. At the front, however, still a huge battle going on. That's Alan Gordon. If he takes a look around the outside of Thomas Comer, that won't quite work, but if you can force him defensive, there's very much the opportunity to get a run into the chicane.
Yeah, fantastic battle we've got, and we're almost halfway through the race already. 5.5 minutes, or 5 3/4 minutes left to go. Wonderful move up the right hand side there for Alan Gordon on Thomas Comer. They're on the run up towards the chicane. Surely he's going to have the outside line, but he makes it what a move from Alan Gordon round the outside. Have you ever seen anything like it there? Oh, there's contact, and away into the moon goes Thomas Comer. That was what on earth happened there, Tom?
Yeah, it was the classic mover on the outside. You're never going to get a good exit, so he slowly edged across in an attempt to cut off the cutback line as such from Thomas Comer, and in doing so there was just a touch of contact, and these cars, they can spin out really quickly if you touch in the wrong place. Kenny Brewster, that promoted him up into P2, but Andrew McIlvright, he wants that place right back. He's going to drift out wide, but you can do that. There isn't a cutback out of turn 1, and it then goes left afterwards, so just riding it all the way out, use all the road. He gets the move done, and suddenly Brewster, he was looking calm, but now he's got Butterworth on his tail, and we know how quick Butterworth can be in the second half of the race.
Yeah, I'd never tell that to her face, but Annie obviously listens to the races back when we're finished, so I love giving a little bit of gentle ribbing going on there. Incredibly talented young female racer, but remember, it's the top 7 drivers that qualify tonight as well. So at the moment, Thomas Comer looking very safe, although not maybe so much with the car on the grass. It is just visual damage that is on these cars, so he shouldn't be feeling any ill effects. But that also means that Glenn Alcock, as it stands, is qualifying for Sunday's final right now.
Yeah, they've got to keep an eye out for Wee Dads, but he's quite a long way back, kind of 8th, 9th and 10th, all in their own little battle. So you got these guys at the front who just need to not trip over each other and they'll be fine. But just as we say that, Butterworth taking a little look around the outside at the Schumacher S. You won't manage it there, but just kind of showing those mirrors. Make sure they're full of green and not the green of the grass. That way the pressure just slowly mounts, because with 3.5 minutes, 3 3/4 minutes left to go, there's plenty of time to force the mistake. Yeah, and that's exactly what's happened. Andrew McIlvright just dropped a wheel onto that AstroTurf, couldn't get the traction down. Brewster's now the one applying the pressure. He's got the inside line on the run through this right-hander. He'll then be on the outside in this contact. We said all they needed to do was not get tangled up.
So silly.
Exactly that. They've somehow recovered it. There must have been a little bit of rally crossing there, a little bit of opposite lock to get it back on, but you can tell both of them will be frustrated. They just need to not do it again. Keep it calm. Don't go side by side into the final corner. It never ends well. just about going to get away with it. You can bet Brewster will be looking for a cutback, a better exit, and this battle could well be the end of both of them.
Thomas, cover for me a second, Willard. No, actually, never mind. It is the PlayStation that is plugged in. It's not the Xbox. That was so silly. What was the need for that? I get that you obviously want to hold on to your place, but you have to be mindful of the car beside you and the fact that you're going to destroy not only your own race, but the other person's race as well, and potentially other people. That could have been a massive penalty. Thankfully, I don't think anything will come of that, because they've just cost themselves places and they still both qualify, but I just don't understand that at all.
Yeah, we've not seen Brewster drive like this before either. He seems really riled up. In races gone by, he would have just kind of backed out of that one and said, you know what, yeah, I'm not going to go for this move. I'm qualifying for the finals on Sunday. But this time around, he put his nose in. And there's just something different about his driving style here today. Battle further down the field. You got Glenn Alcock all over the back of Thomas Gomer. They're still qualifying, so Glenn will be aware of that, and he will be a little bit more careful. But he'll still want the bragging rights. And as we mentioned, that mental game going into Sunday's race can be very, very crucial.
Now, what has happened there, because Kenny Brewster has now dropped someone, and someone's went all the way back there. In fact, that's Andrew McIlvright. So Andrew McIlvright, as he come into more issues just now, he's all the way back into 7th place.
Yeah, and he may well have collected Thomas Comer there as well. Thomas Comer suddenly down in 4th position, leaving Alan Gordon at the top of the field, followed by Annie Butterworth and then Kenneth Brewster. So doesn't change who's qualifying, but it's all getting a little bit heated here in heat number 1.
Yeah, and it's a strong performance. We can't look past Alan Gordon up there in 1st place. He's been dominating this race so far, making it look so easy ahead of all of the chaos going on behind. But we'll keep to where all the action is right now as we come with 1 minute left to go. That means we will be able to start our final lap of the race here. And Glenn Alcock, playing it defensive, tries to move to the inside of the chicane, cuts that apex off for Kevin Barry, and Kevin can't do anything with that whatsoever. So Glenn, really good awareness and spatial awareness there, and a 5th place finish. I think that's one of his best performances this season.
Yeah, he wants to hold on to it, you can tell as well. That was incredibly defensive into the chicane, and kind of cleverly done as well, because covered the inside, but the cost of doing that is often that you compromise your exit on the way out. But by stopping it part of the way through the chicane, there was no way through for the car behind, and they also had to slam on the brakes. But both of them a little bit tight on their exit from turn 1. That's going to open up the opportunity for Barry behind. Will they be able to find a way through? Not quite close enough through turn number 2, so into turn number 3 they'll just have to hold station and think about the middle sector of this lap. Yeah,
and that's the thing with this track, is the fact that overtaking opportunities are few and far between. But mark my words, Kevin Barry going to try and force the issue here as they come down towards the left-hander. Is Glenn Alcock going to try and outbrake him? No, he doesn't. That looks like Kevin Barry is going to take 5th place from Glenn Alcock, and when all said and done, that was a little bit too easy, like snatching candy from a baby. But it's all about Sunday, isn't it? It's all about qualifying for that final.
Yeah, ultimately these guys are so far ahead of 8th. To be honest, they could probably crash and get away with it. So they're not too worried about that, and I expect that now the move's been done, they'll just calm down and make sure they don't get caught by the car in 7th position for the sake of those bragging rights. You know, qualify, move on, and you're in good position to have that battle just later on in the week.
So here we go then. This is the final couple of corners then for Alan Gordon. He's had a fantastic journey so far in this championship, and it's been a brilliant display here. 5 laps of awesome racing for Alan Gordon, and through the final chicane with 1 more corner left to go. Turn number 15, and Alan Gordon is going to be victorious in Heat 1 of Round 5 qualifiers here for the SMRC eSports Championship. Brilliant race there from Alan Gordon. It's going to be 2nd place for Annie Butterworth. 3rd place is going to be for Kenny Brewster. 4th place is going to be Thomas Comer. 5th place is going to be Kevin Barry. 6th place is going to be Andrew McIlvright, and then 7th place is going to be Glenn Alcock. Right, we got there eventually. My brain is absolutely scrambled right now. But I'm wondering what happened to Glenn Alcock there, because he slipped down. He was in 5th place, slipped down to 6th, and now ends up behind Andrew McIlbride, who is in 6th place there.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a tricky one. Potentially a tangle up between their 5th and 7th place finishers, because it's not like the car of Kevin Barry was particularly far ahead, because Andrew McIlbride ended up between them, but right behind 5th as well. So those two, that battle might have had a little less sting in the tail as the lap came to the end.
Sure thing. Right, we will take a very, very short break, and when we return, we will be back with round 2. Qualifying Heat 2 of Round 5 of the Nurburgring GP SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship with myself, David Christie, and Tom Davis. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome back to Nurburgring GP, where we are getting ready to go green for heat number 2 of the PlayStation. Looks like it's going to be a very quiet affair here in heat number 2, because we have a handful of the drivers actually able to make this round. So, Tom, from the looks of it, everyone that's away to race here, everyone qualifies.
Yeah, and it should give us a fantastic kind of exhibition race as such, because we always talk about the top guys have got it all to lose and they're under pressure, so they've got to be a little bit safe. Suddenly everybody's qualifying anyways, so you might as well try and win. It's not like if you crash you're going to lose any points.
Yeah, and that's the thing here. But again, it's just a case of trying to make sure that you stay out of trouble.
Yeah, and that's what we saw come into it last time out as well. We had Glenn Alcock and Annie Butterworth taking up the top 2 spots, and those were the people in that fight that just never really got involved in any controversy. They never went for a move particularly. Instead, they just let everybody else fall off in front of them, and then they were left there at the end as P1 too. So that seems to be a working strategy. It's worked consistently for those 2 guys, so maybe someone from this heat will have watched and they'll have that in mind, or maybe they'll be listening right now and suddenly I've just given them the winning strategy. Right,
let's have a look here. I'm just having a look at chat and trying to catch up on. So chat are saying basically change the graphics. Is that the correct track on screen? Well, we're at Nurburgring, and I'm pretty sure that was the Nurburgring that we saw there. So yes, that is my final answer. Right, good news. We've got a race out of this. We've got 7 drivers. We had 6 like 20 seconds ago. So there we go. Am I confused here, Tom? This is the Nurburgring that we're at just now. This is the Nurburgring. I've got no idea what they're talking about.
I might have to expose you a little bit.
Oh no.
Caught a look at the loading screen when I was getting chat up, and I think it might be Le Mans. I think we might still be in
the
front.
Loading screen?
Yeah, I think the screen we had up whilst we were changing around is still set to be Le Mans, so we're currently on Agus as it stands, and that relevant in neither Germany or France. So he'll just be getting his tyres up to temperature, making sure that he can get round, get a good lap in a moment, because cold tyres is a real concern. And
yeah,
like I mentioned time and time again, these cars, they're low power, high grip, kind of like an oversized go-kart, if you will. So getting temperature in those tyres, getting energy in those tyres, that's what temperature is, and be difficult. You really need to work it round, put in a couple laps before they're up there and performing their best.
Do you know what, right? You literally, you spent 2 minutes explaining to me what they were talking about, and it's only literally just dawned on me right now, right? I apologise. I will fire up Photoshop, I will go and fix that right now for everyone. Thank you, Tom, for explaining to me, but unfortunately my simple little brain just... Oh, it's been a long week, guys.
It's why there's two of us, it's why there's two of us.
Right, we did have 7, we've now got 6 again. I'm not sure what's happened there.
I have the rulebook in front of me for events like this. I have no idea whether turning up to qualifying and leaving still has you qualify, so that'll be an interesting situation for some of the guys to handle.
Well, no, because if they've not completed qualifying, then I don't think it counts their time, because what happens, I believe that when you leave the lobby, your time leaves with you as well. I think.
In that case, whoever it was.
Has not... Yeah, it's not really worked out for them, has it?
No, that's not a strategy that's gone to plan. Agus, he's still waiting to get round to set a lap in. He's lapping a reasonable time off the cars in front. And last week we were talking all about the slipstream and how it was so crucial in those GTE cars down the Mulsanne. It's nowhere near as important here. Firstly, because there's less flat-out sections. There's just less bits where you're in a straight line. Secondly, these cars are slower, so less air runs over them. There's less downforce generated, so there's less you can gain by getting rid of the air behind another car. So, put simply, slipstream not as important here, although it might help you find a tenth, half a tenth potentially if you get it right.
Yeah.
It's more likely though that you'll gain a little bit just in terms of confidence from not having someone right on top of your nose.
I think that's the thing as well, is that they can almost use this like a training day, like a test session, with the fact that there's not really all that, there's not all that much pressure going on with them.
Yeah, and like we mentioned earlier, there's a few curves that you can take, maybe you weren't taking, but gives you an opportunity to run around behind somebody. If they do it, you can give it a go and find out if they're making the mistake or if you're making the mistake. And it's just like you say, an opportunity to make sure you're on your best form without the consequences of trying something experimental and going hugely wrong and you don't qualify.
There we go. Edward Porter says, "Lol, David, have you been drinking this last week?" No, I have not. As I explained about 40 minutes before the stream, I was pulling my hair out at all sorts of technical issues. But thank goodness I have the Messiah that is Tom Davis to calm me down and talk me down from the ledge. And also, you'll be delighted to know, you will be absolutely delighted to know that, look, I've went and fixed it, guys. We're at Nurburgring. It's fine. We're sorted. Let's get back to the action. Right. Haggis then is currently on top, and that is faster, I think, Tom, than we have seen so far. 2:14.6 from from Haggis 117, and another 2:14 in there as well. So, yeah, this isn't looking too shabby, is it?
Yeah, it's Darrell Adams at the top, and like we mentioned, lap record is down in the low 212, so we'd be anticipating some 214s for sure from these guys, and it might get a little bit lower than that even as the session goes on. But yeah, it's definitely quicker, about 4 or 5 tenths quicker than we were seeing in the last heat, and that might even just be the consequence of the pressure being off, and these guys kind of going, well, I don't have anything to lose, I don't need to put a banker lap in, I can just go for it every single lap and see what I can do, and at the moment, nobody's even invalidated time, so it seems to be working for them. Yeah,
so as you said, I mean, I'm just looking at the time difference, Tom, between the top 4 here, and even then, I think every single one of those drivers is faster than our pole lap that we had in heat number 1.
Yeah, huge, and it kind of shows the competition in this one. So obviously in the last heat you had Kenny Brewster, he's at the top of the standings with 137 points. But then, in theory, in this heat, you were going to have everybody else in the top 6 drivers. So this heat has a ton of pedigree in it, and then you've also got other people in there like Elliot Lethwaite, for example. He's just outside that, but he's shown really good pace over the past couple of weeks, which means that they'll all be right up there, and with nothing to lose, you can bet they'll be trying very hard to do something special.
Good evening to Andrew McKinley, to Aidan Wilson and to Keir Riley, who have joined us in chat. Plot twist, Tom, can you imagine qualifying automatically for the final only to have taken another competitor out and then find yourself disqualified?
I can't, because I've got to be honest, I would never be there in the first place, but that would really suck. That's all you can say. You know, we're talking, obviously there are consequences still. If you ruin someone's race, it does still go to the steward. Dangerous driving is dangerous driving no matter what. So just kind of hard race, but don't shunt somebody off at the hairpin or the chicane, for example.
And the important thing to remember, and while we're talking about penalties, we might as well, because it was a big contentious issue at Le Mans. Obviously, there was quite a few high-profile names getting caught up in that. And what's important to remember as well is that in the rulebook it states that if they are repeatedly found breaking the like specific rules, or the repeat offenders, that the penalty becomes harsher and harsher and harsher.
Yeah, so in conclusion, if you make a mistake once, that's fine, but you do need to improve. You need to sit down over the next week and maybe go into some online lobbies, however that doesn't always end great, or sit and race with some AI, for example, and just drive the track. Make sure that you know where the overtaking spots are. For example, there's a couple on this track in particular that really kind of pull you in. It's like, oh, you could get down the inside here, and Mark Garrity's getting to one of them right now. That left-hander, perfect, you can go for a move. This right-hander, the entry's so shallow, it just keeps on coming round. So you go for a move there, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get squeezed, or you're going to go straight off into the wall, the pair of you.
Right, let's have a look at, Tom, these qualifying times, because that is an impressive set of times going in. Weedaz 34, that is Darrell Adams on pole position in 2:14.608. Second place at the moment is Stuart Anderson, 2:14.782, and then it is Oliver Stewart with a 2:14.881. He's trying to get a toll round there just now. You've got Ryan Smith in fourth place with a 2:14.924, and then it is Chris Drummond with a 2:15.199. We had 7 cars, 1 car has dropped out, and in fact that was where has second place gone? Because that's all changed now. Yeah, not so good. So we're back down to the 6 cars. I think, was that Elliot Lethwaite actually that's left? He was in the session.
Yeah, I was just checking out. It does seem to be Elliot Lethwaite that has parted. So not entirely sure what's happened there for Elliot, but a little shout out to, I believe it's #Team Tree. If you're supporting Stuart Anderson, currently P2, only a little bit off of P1 as well. Make sure that you get that one pumping on social media. You never know, it might be trending by the time we wake up tomorrow morning. Yeah,
he's doing a great job there, a fantastic job. And we're not on as a car this time, so we are able to spectate to our little heart's content. Right, well, I'm going to apologise if there is any problems with the stream tonight, guys and girls. We are having a little bit of connectivity issues at the moment, but we will try and get everything all sorted out and hunky-dory as soon as we possibly can. Probably because we've got about 15,000 apps running in the background, and not so good. So there we are. Cormac Patterson, you might be interested to know, Tom is complaining about having real trouble getting used to the track tonight.
Yeah, it's one that can be reasonably polarizing. So some drivers, I in particular, really, really love it. It can suit you, you can really kind of jink in with the corner and it fits your driving style. But if you're not in for that flowing driving style, if you're more about stop, go, this won't suit you. You will find it very, very difficult, because you talk about big braking zones, you're looking at the chicane in turn 1, that's actually around about it. We talk about the hairpin at turn 7, but it's not really a big braking zone as such. So if you want that kind of stop-go kind of racing, and that's how you make the overtakes, for example, you are going to struggle around this particular variant. The circuit is there.
I didn't want to say anything to that. I wasn't going to bring attention to that, but you just kind of brought it up, didn't you?
It caught me by surprise. It caught me by surprise.
I caught him by surprise as well. Look at it.
Almost into the pit lane entry barrier there. I gotta be honest, that is a particularly easy one to do. You spectate some lobbies, you watch some races around here, but even when you're turning in for the actual race lap, that corner is all about getting the turn-in point right on the limit, aggressively attacking the apex, and if you turn in just a little bit too early or you're not quite quick enough to initiate the understeer, it grips and you're straight into that wall, and it looks a lot more humiliating than it actually is.
No, it is pretty bad, trust me. I've done it plenty of times on iRacing, and just going back to what we were talking about with the penalties as well, that was one point I wanted to bring up actually, because it's really difficult. Hold that thought, because we are going back to the track. All the cars are ready to go. We've got 6 cars who will automatically qualify. Lights are on here at Nurburgring GP, and away we go. It's a belter of a start for Darrell Adams there. Did he jump the start? That is going to be the question, because he got a very good start and he's away down into 4th place. I think he has. I think he has jumped the start and he is away back to last there. That's not the thing. See, if you jump the start, you just go for it. You just absolutely pelt it down into the corner and take your chances.
Well, like we said, they're all qualifying assuming that the stewards don't get involved, so that potentially a bit of, oh, it's probably going to be taken care of by the game, but I better just ease off and show that I'm sorry in case somebody reports me, and then he can get on with the race. And he qualified a pole, he'll have the pace, but at the moment it is in fact Stuart Anderson leading the way. He's got just a little bit of a lead over the car behind him, and
oh no,
happy in there. Mark Garrity, he's got it wrong. We've seen that green car so many times, and this time it's in with the green grass. He'll accelerate away, potentially a little bit of an oversteer moment coming through turn number 4 there.
You hate to see it, don't you? You absolutely hate to see it. So the 5 cars making their way down through the half of the circuit, and it is still currently Stuart Anderson, forgive me, in the lead from Chris Drummond, and then Ryan Smith. That's your 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Oliver Stewart is back in 4th place with Darrell Adams in 5th place, hot on his heels. So we've got 10 minutes of this, 8.5 minutes left to unfold. Mark Garrity is pretty much out of the race. He's 12 seconds back and we're barely half a lap into it. As a big move up the inside from Ryan Smith onto Chris Drummond there, makes it stick. And is that Chris Drummond trying to get 2 wheels onto the grass there? Yeah,
it was really pushing to get the move done there. It was a bit of a Valentino Rossi-esque move in the flip-flop. Run it hot through the first part so that you've got the inside and you can just stop it on apex in the second part. Almost motorbike style racing there. All this is just allowing Stuart Anderson at the front. He's got in a little bit of a gap, and they'll have to make sure they don't squabble amongst themselves too much, else he'll have a lot more than a little bit of a gap. We come around to complete lap number 1. We've got 2 minutes 15 gone, 7 minutes 40 left to race, and it's all left to play for. You've got Mark Garrity a wee bit off the back of the field, but everybody else, it's a pack of 5 for the lead.
Yeah, Mark Garrity is dropping further and further back. He was 12 seconds, now 15 seconds off of that leader. But yeah, corrupted Trace. Stuart Anderson doing a fantastic job of leading this group, because Ryan Smith under huge pressure right now from Chris Drummond, who will be absolutely fizzing in that little Ginetta GT5 car ahead of Weedaz. That is, of course, Darrell Adams, and then Oliver Stewart in 5th place as well. So as you said, 5-car battle for the lead. We might only have the 6 cars on track tonight for this one, but we had this situation 2 weeks ago for the qualifiers for Le Mans, and we decided not to run it, and some of the drivers were actually quite upset because they'd been looking forward to having a wee bit of a get together. So you know, we might as well just run the race anyway and get on with it.
Smith got it. Very good exit. We mentioned that it's not a huge braking zone into the right-hander at 7, but he's going to give it a go. He's gone deep. Corrupted tree followed him a little bit, and suddenly you've got a brand new leader in Chris Drummond who cuts all the way through. Darrell Adams in the green car. He's looking for a move. He'll be on the outside, but it'll swoop around, get it done. And this 5-way battle just keeps getting closer and closer. Your top 5 cars separated by less than a second total as they descend into now this quick part of the circuit. Very deep there. from your race leader. That allows Corrupted Tree Stuart Anderson back into lead, and Drummond just tucks in behind. That's 2, almost 3 abreast for 3rd position. Daryl Adams still leading that one, but Ryan Smith is on the inside. And of course, you've still got Oliver Stewart hanging out in that battle as well. A little bit of rubbing, a little bit of bumping as we come in towards the chicane. Who's bravest on the brakes? Who's bravest on the curbs as well? A big amount of curb taken by Stuart Anderson. And wee Daryl Adams is right there to take advantage of any little slip-ups. He's on the inside into the right-hander at the end of the lap. That should be job done on entry. There's a little bit of contact. Chris Drummond went for the move before there was a gap on the inside. That pushed him up against the wall. Somehow they all get away with it. But now there's half a second at the front for Stuart Anderson. Can he capitalise, or will they all just slipstream their way up onto the back of him once more? Chris Drummond, sorry, I was about to give you a chance to speak there, David, but he's already back down the inside. Yet more contact, and Daryl Adams jumped the start. He's now been spun at turn number 1. It's not gone entirely to plan, but with still just under 5 minutes left in the session, he's not too far off the back of the field if these guys keep fighting.
Oh, I don't know about that. 5 seconds. He is clawing his way back. I'll give him his due on that one. He is definitely clawing his way back. 3 seconds behind Oliver Stewart there for 4th place. But what a battle we've got going on there. I couldn't believe that we had 3 wide on the exit of a corner there. And beautiful, beautiful stuff. And it just shows you, even with just 6 cars, we've still got some pretty intense racing. But a fantastic start for Stuart Anderson ahead of Chris Drummond. And then Ryan Smith with Haggis 117, Oliver Stewart way back there. It's difficult for him, is it? I mean, how does Oliver get his way back? Because Daryl Adams now is dropping further back. He's now 6.5 seconds behind the race leader. I think that's his race done.
Yeah, in terms of the Ryan Smith and Haggis battle, you need to essentially stop for a lap. You just need to go, hey, we need to catch the guys in front because they're going to begin to make a breakaway. You'll notice there's been no overtakes at the front between Stuart Anderson and Chris Drummond for a couple sectors of this lap now, and they're just attempting to make a little bit of a breakaway, and they've managed it so far. 1.1 seconds was the gap for a moment. It came down in the middle of the corner, and there's just your contrasting driving styles. You mentioned you can brake late and try and gain some time on corner entry, and you'll probably lose it again on the exit, but they all kind of even out, and that's all you saw there as the gap continues to oscillate. As we mentioned, all of this is just helping out Daryl Adams a little bit. And there, deep from Ryan Smith, very, very deep. That's going to allow potentially the car up the outside. They're going to be 2 abreast, neck and neck into the right-hander. Once again, the car on the inside manages to get the move done. Oliver Stewart will be happy with this one because this time there's no fight back, no cut back on exit. They'll just slipstream down towards turn number 1. And how defensive will Oliver Stewart feel he has to be? At the front, however, still so close. Chris Drummond not quite being close enough to look for a move on Stuart Anderson, and the same happens into turn 1 between your battle for 3rd.
2 3/4 minutes left to go in this race. This has been brilliant fun. I never expected this. I thought it was just going to be a little procession with the 6 cars here, but this has been fantastic stuff. We've got 2 separate battles going on right now. Chris Drummond involved with Stuart Anderson for the fight for the lead, and then you've got Oliver Stewart and then Ryan Smith battling it out as well. And you're absolutely right. Look at that. Look at Daryl Adams trying to sneak his way back up to that battle for the top 4.
Yeah, we mentioned it as the top guys fight a little bit, and he's not so much closing in on the leader, he's closing in on that battle for 3rd, because 3rd and 4th are dropping away a little bit, and now you've got Stuart Anderson attempts to make a bit of a breakaway. Half a second down to 4/10 because he got a little bit sucked in by turn 7 there. And now Chris Drummond just closes in a little bit once more. We come into the Schumacher-esque. Which of the lines do they take? Both of them staying very far away from that inside curb on entry. And they just take a clean route. Make sure you don't get it sideways. And just say, I'm okay with going a couple meters further in terms of distance, just to reduce that risk. You then come into this left-hander, into what is then the more important part of this part of the circuit. The Warsteiner curve. It's all nice and simple. Notably 3rd and 4th using curve there, 1st and 2nd not. But once again, doesn't really matter. It's just whatever suits you.
That battle for the lead was 2 seconds, was being the word. It's now down to 1.1 seconds. So Oliver Stewart now past Ryan Smith there and catching up for that first place battle. In fact, look at that, 8/10 of a second behind your race leader. This is getting very, very interesting.
It's all coming together. They'll come around the final right-hander for the penultimate time. This will be your last lap of the race, and now that's it. He's right on the back of Chris Drummond, and that red striped car, find a way, he'll be on the inside. It's all suddenly opening up for Oliver Stewart. Can he get it done on the brakes? He's a little bit earlier, but he's still kept that, so to speak, high ground, but a little bit deep there, potentially some contact pushing him in. All of this means that Stuart Anderson at the front, he's away. He will be very happy with all this. He's pretty much guaranteed to be your race winner, but Oliver Stewart's past Chris Drummond, and you can bet Chris Drummond will try and find an answer. Closing all the way through turn number 3 into 4. So easy to get this one. You get your turning point just a little bit wrong, you've gone too deep and you've got to lift off. And that might have happened to Chris Drummond there, because now Ryan Smith is closing right up contact under braking.
Chris Drummond. Yeah, Chris Drummond's going to have to watch himself with that weaving, because all Ryan Smith has to do is just hold on to his line, and it's all going to go wrong. A little bit of a nudge there. Yeah, I don't know what to say, because it's so difficult, because it's like you want to think, yeah, they're good folk, they're going to be able to keep it hard but fair, but I don't know. I think it's all going to come undone at the chicane here. Yeah, see, there you go.
Come undone.
Bingo.
Before that, neck
Bingo.
and neck into the Schumacher.
That was so stupid.
That was inevitable.
So silly. I don't understand that. It was so blatant what just happened. There was no need for him to come over to the right hand side, and of course that now it negates Ryan Smith's race. It doesn't matter because they've all qualified anyway, but
yeah,
that's so poor. And of course now, from the looks of it, Ryan Smith got penalised there because Chris Drummond went off. Ryan Smith has to give him the place back because of the way the game works.
Yeah, it's certainly a tricky one. At the front, however, Oliver Stewart, he has put in a magnificent performance. He was in that battle for the lead, and when the opportunity came to break away, he took it with both hands and ran. He's round the final corner. They're all going to qualify, of course, but he'll take a huge confidence boost into the finals on Sunday. Just behind him, Oliver Stewart.
Tom,
incredibly happy with that one.
They're right beside each other on the track again. I don't know what's going to happen. Darrell Adams, how on earth did he get third place? How did that happen? He gets Ryan Smith gets a 1 second penalty, so it doesn't matter. He's going to lose out across the line anyway, behind Chris Drummond. But wow, that all went a bit skew-iff, I think is the word that I would use towards the end of that race. So there you go, that is your race results. You have got Stuart Anderson taking the win there from Oliver Stewart. Then third place is Darrell Adams. Fourth place is going to be Chris Drummond. Fifth place for Ryan Smith. And sixth place for Mark Geraghty. We're going to take a very, very short break. We'll get everything set up for the Xbox and we'll be right back.
Maybe I was wrong even once. glance. Bring me back to life. If we had another chance, I would never let you steal my glance. Bring me back to life.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tom. We are about to jump into Xbox then, Tom, and rather disappointingly, we've got another small group in this heat.
Yeah, this time around we're looking at 5 drivers, but remember in Xbox we run 3 heats where only the top 3 go through, so there is still the chance that you don't qualify in this one, so they'll be competing with something on the line, so to speak.
Yep, so let's have a look at who we will have in just now out of the 10 drivers. And of course, this is why we made the heat smaller, was because obviously Xbox has a little bit more difficulty. I love how Chris Cherry was supposed to be in this one, and he's deciding that he's not racing in this. So, yeah, he got an invite. Yeah. What to say? Right, okay, let's, without further ado, let's head over to the track and watch some qualifying then, shall we?
Yeah, fantastic. The guys just leaving the pit lane right now. Notably, a couple of them pretty close together of note, but they'll all just fan out, get out of each other's way, start the tyre warming process. And a little bit of overtaking still going on there. I believe that was Andrew McKinley involved with somebody else. Just keep it clean on the outlap, that's for sure. However, as we mentioned time and time again, tyres getting up to temperature, that's why you see so much aggressive weaving, and I've got some stats for you with regards to the cars themselves. So, like we mentioned, essentially oversized go-karts. So they've got 15-inch wheels, but they've got a 7-inch width, so they're pretty wide. And to heat up all of that rubber, you've only got a 1.8-litre Ford Zetic engine, which produces around about 150 brake horsepower, 155 if it's maxed out, which it probably is in the game. All in all, a lot of energy needs to be put into that rubber to get it working optimally, and the engine not necessarily up to the task in terms of getting them heated up in the first time round.
The man himself has asked us another question, Edward Porter question. David, when you do test laps or videos, do you use a controller to do that or a setup? No, I've got a Thrustmaster T150 steering wheel. It's like the budgetiest of budget steering wheels. It wasn't my initial setup. I had a Fanatec CSW Elite wheel, which died about a year ago. Well, no, it didn't die. I think it was more my fist kind of went through the steering wheel after a failed endurance race. We'll not talk about that, Tom. It's a lovely night tonight, isn't it?
It is.
Oh my God! What on earth just happened there?
Who was that?
That was Angus Scrivener, I think, that almost got wiped out by Andrew McKinley.
That was.
Well, no, to be fair, Andrew McKinley was going slow, and Angus just came absolutely rattling round him. Surely Angus can't be on a fast lap just now.
You wouldn't expect so, no.
No, because it's 2 minutes, so he'll be starting one. But yeah, so he should have. Yeah, that's a bit strange. No idea why Angus Scrivener going so slow there, though. But sorry, Andrew McKinley going so slow.
Yeah, a little bit odd, but he'll just come round, he will still get his quali lap in. I didn't manage to catch all of it. I was just looking out the window to tell you that at least where I am, it's stopped raining for the first time all day, so it's feeling a little bit better outside. Probably similar conditions to what the drivers are seeing out on the track, despite the fact that if you were to race down my street, you definitely have damp and greasy conditions, as opposed to what they currently have as being completely clear.
Tom, I'm sorry, what? What?
The track.
I've got right. Yeah. It's all good. It's all
You'd
good.
also be
it's
a
all good.
teenager's head, but like.
Wow, Tom! I give you an ounce of creative freedom, and you're already getting us into all sorts of broadcasting. I like you. You can come back again. We'll have you back on next time. Right, let's turn our attention to what we've got on track, because at the moment Mark Winus inclining skate is de facto on top, purely because nobody's set a time in yet. What I am liking is, from the looks of it, the Xbox seems to be behaving itself a little bit better. It's not doing the jittery, laggy thing that it was doing in some of the other races. And again, we've got 3 cars here for qualifying, and they're all bunched up fairly close to each other.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested to see how this plays out with the smaller heat, because there's a few guys in this one who are clearly quite strong, but aren't necessarily auto includes in terms of normally getting through the heat. So do they stay calm, or if you qualify 4th or 5th, do you just go for it and say, hey, I wouldn't normally get through, I've got a once in the championship opportunity, let's try and take it?
I think you have to, because with this, you're never going to have a better chance. And the thing is that you'll get a lot of people that are maybe in the other heats complaining that, oh, you know, my heat's got 8 people in it. How's that fair that they've only got 5? The heats are drawn at random. It's as simple as that. If you're in a heat that you do get that there's a few people in, then bully for you, mate. Well done. But again, you're really you can't sort of complain that other people haven't turned up, because we don't really want it. We want to get as many people into the spots that they've paid for at the end of the day. But we've got some times coming in just now. Andrew McKinley there, 2:14.461. Angus Scrivener just behind him with a 2:17.444. As we see Mark Winus trying to get around some of the corners here at Nurburgring. What's your experience on this track then, Tom?
I love it. I enjoy it. I'm not necessarily overly quick around here, but if you're going to get it wrong, it's because the track seems too easy at points. So if you take turn 2 for an example, it feels like a left-hander that opens up. It actually doesn't open up at all. If anything, it tightens on exit. So it kind of encourages you to get on the power a little bit too early, and suddenly you're offline and your lap's been invalidated. Another one along those same lines is exactly what you can see on your screen right now. This hairpin at turn number 7, you want to get on the power around about the halfway point. If you do that, you will be in that gravel trap on exit. So it encourages you to make mistakes that otherwise you wouldn't even consider being near.
Yeah, turn 7's a really difficult one, because you've obviously it almost doubles back on you. I know that sounds really, really bizarre given that it's a hairpin, but there's almost 2 corners in it, because you've got the first right-hander, which is quite gentle, and you can pitch the car in, but then it tightens up towards the exit as well, and really you're caught between a rock and a hard place, because if you hit on the throttle too early, then you go straight over onto the curb and quite often onto the grass, and you will spin the car, or too late and you just get bogged down on that run up the hill towards the Schumacher S's.
Yeah, and that Schumacher S that ultimately is flat out, so you're going straight through there all the way up towards turn 10. And that's a huge run to have lost out on any potential exit speed. You'll lose 3-4 tenths if you don't get a good exit from the hairpin. So the pressure is on you to get on the power as early as possible, and as such, you will get on it too early at times.
2.5 minutes left to go, Tom, in the first heat of the Xbox. Again, just the 5 cars that we've got with us tonight for this one. I'm looking forward to heats 2 and 3. Stephen Bramwell, Cormac Patterson, Ian Wilson, James Black, John Duncan, Jordan Brown, Steve Sadler, Scott Anderson, Tony Logie in heat 2. That will be an absolute barnstormer, that one. And then in Heat 3, you've got Bryn Hawkins, Chloe Grant, John Glover, Andrew Gilman, Tom Davis, Jay Kennedy, Ross Dunn, Josh McNabb, Ian Menzies, Tom Binney, and Shay Brennan in that one.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you said my name in that for a second.
I did. I just wanted to see if you were paying attention there. Well done.
I heard me, and I was sat there listening.
Sorry, wait, what?
Have I been entered as a joke? Why?
So, Ian Wilson, yes, there is only 5 people have turned up for this heat. There was due to be 10. It is what it is. Again, only 3 of these are qualifying for the final on Sunday. 3 of each of the heats go through to the final, and then it's 9 cars in there. Cameron Evans, 2:14.130. That, I think, Tom, is one of the fastest laps that we've had tonight. Yeah,
that's insanely quick. That's getting down to very, very quick lap time. Like we mentioned, 2:12.3, the Project Cars lap record here with this Ginetta GT5. But second place in terms of those leaderboards is already 6.5 tenths off of that. So when you get down, it drops off remarkably quickly. So these times are easily good enough for the top 15 positions on that all-time leaderboard.
Yeah, fast times going in just now. We've got to say a good evening to Mr. Aidan Wilson, who has been missing AWOL from the championship, Aiden. Where have you been? Because my goodness me, the championship has certainly missed you, and the drama has missed you as well. So we look forward to seeing you later on tonight. But 30 seconds left to go in the qualifying session, then checkered flag will drop. We'll see if Cameron Evans can get a faster lap time in. I don't think he's looking a little bit sluggish on this lap rounds, but again, looks can be very, very deceiving. I think Andrew McKinley is done. He is. We've got Stu Winus in third place there, and he's coming round, and that's going to be wide in a invalidated lap for Stu Winus. Angus Scrivener in fourth place there. But let's have a look at Cameron Evans here, because he's going to come along the right-hander, and then it's the run up to the chicane, isn't it?
Yes, they come up towards the chicane, and this part's very, very important. So you get this little kink through, and it's all about just getting over to the right-hand side of the track without cutting off speed, putting on too much steering lock. Then you start thinking about picking your braking point and what line you want to take through, because you can really take a lot of curb on entry if you want to. On this occasion, Cameron Evans is going to decline to do so, just keeping it nice and smooth. He's going to complete the lap, so he could be on for a quick one here around the right-hander. Turn in really nice, so potentially a little bit wide of apex. That's going to force him onto the curb on exit. Will that be enough to slow him down, or will he be the first person to go below 2:14? Not quite. No improvement on the last one, but he was certainly pushing for it.
Yeah, that was a good lap. Last lap there, 2:14.156. That is absurd. Incredible pace there from Cameron Evans. Second place, Andrew McKinley with a 2:14.661. Stu Winus in third with a 2:16.224. Fourth place for Angus Scrivener with a 2:17.444. And then in fifth place, Mark Winus with a 2:23.923. Big times going in there, and very much looking forward to the final on Sunday, as Cameron Evans claims that he was sandbagging on that one. Yes, mister, I believe you were. Not a chance. 2:14.130. Listen, I'm lucky if I get it around in under a 2:20. So, actually, that's a lie, to be fair. I'd probably get it through in a 2:16, 2:17. But certainly nowhere near the 2:14. The big thing that you can make a lot of time on, Tom, is that chicane. The final chicane, you can make a lot of time out on that.
Yeah, you can brake so much later than A, you think you can, or if you've been learning with a racing line, B, the racing line tells you can. It's a complete lie, because braking and turning in, you can do it there, and as such, you can just still be braking as you hit the apex, and then as soon as you're past that left-hand part, on the power, straight out of it. It's more of a speed bump more than anything.
So Wayne is saying that Stu Winus is the full package. He was sandbagging, expect him to win it. Right. All pressure then on Stu Winus. Let's go and stay with him, because that is the only man really that we need to be watching right now, according to Wayne. So yeah, that's where my in fact, actually, let's get the commentary £1 coin out on the go. Stu Winus is going to be my call.
Oh, I don't know. I think Cameron Evans, he put in the fastest lap we've seen all day. He's on pole.
Where's the faith?
My faith, it's in Cameron Evans. It's all there. I've just put it on the man in that red racing striped car.
Now, I'm switching here because the screen is kind of frozen here for me. So, yeah, I'm not really too sure what is happening here. So what we'll do while the cars are... Because normally it'd give me a 10-minute countdown if the cars were still setting themselves up. So given that everyone qualifies anyway, it doesn't really matter too much anyway. So we'll just make a quick mental note. In fact, no, it does matter, doesn't it? Because of course only 3 of them qualify. Right, okay, we'll have to take a very short break then while we go and fix this and make this work again, because it does appear that the game has completely frozen. So we'll figure out what we're going to do, and we'll be right back in just a minute.
was wrong, even once wasn't anything. Yeah, I could say that you didn't need any part of me. Yeah, maybe it's not me, you should be the one on your knees. So if we had another chance, I would never let you steal my
Thank you very, very much for your patience during that one. We're back. We've got drivers back on track, and unfortunately, it does mean that we have to restart the whole session again because we can't manually place drivers on the grid. They have to do their qualifying again. So they'll very quickly do their 10 minutes qualifying, and then we will do our second heat and then our third heat as well. So that means that we will be getting the second and third heats down in around about 20 minutes time. But let's head back to the track where they are out in force. And Tom, yeah, that was a bit of a strange one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an odd one. We were all hyped up, ready for the race, but then obviously technical issues outside everybody's control mean that we'll start, and we get to see another qualifying session. So we saw Cameron Evans. He might be able to go sub 1:14. Would he be the first person to do it? And apparently, we got to keep our eyes on Stuart Wyness. Apparently, he's got a lot of pace, so keep an eye on that car that's currently sitting third on your leaderboard.
That's exactly what happened. Is Stu Wyness's pace was just far too much for the server here. In fact, it's too much for the car because look at him squirreling about as he makes his run down towards turn number 7. It's a difficult one because obviously it's two cars that are miles ahead of pretty much everyone else, but anything really can happen in this race.
Yeah, it's all still to play for. We've mentioned obviously 5 cars in this heat, but there are 3 slightly smaller Xbox each, which means only the top 3 drivers will qualify from each one. So it's all still to play for. And if you're sitting third, you can bet somebody will have a little challenge because this is the best chance that some of these guys will have all season long at getting through to the final.
They certainly do. They certainly do. So 7.5 minutes. We know obviously sitting through another qualifying session isn't what anybody else wants, but unfortunately we've got to try and keep things consistent with everyone. So when we make this saying every single week where we say that if we disconnect before 75% of the race is done, we restart the race. We had to restart because we disconnected as the race actually began. So it's just one of those things. We'll get through it. We apologise to anyone that has got plans for tonight, but we will get we'll expedite things and get things on the way as quick as we possibly can. So we're on schedule for it's probably going to be a 9 o'clock finish tonight after the final. In fact, no, it should still be let's see, yeah, 9 o'clock. Because we'll start the next heat in probably 10 to or 5 to 9 and then 9 o'clock as well. So Cameron Evans is who we are watching just now. Just a reminder of the 5 drivers. You've got Angus Scrivener in there as well, Stu Wyness along with Andrew McKinley and Mark Wyness on the track as well. So what we'll do is we will let you enjoy a little bit of qualifying just now. We'll take a very, very brief break to go and refill our glasses, and we'll be back in just a second. So we're back. I've just had to go and get some cold water to go and throw over my face. We joked about Cameron Evans saying that he was sandbagging. I thought he was accusing somebody else of sandbagging, but I think he certainly is, because he's into the pits already with 3.5 minutes. He's done enough, hasn't he, Tom?
Yeah, 2:13.8. That's ridiculously quick. To put it simply, you know, you're looking at the guy behind him, Andrew McKinley. He's set at 2:14.4, which is a very respectable time. Would have put him on pole in the first heat of the night, I believe. And yet here he is, over half a second adrift of the guy who's currently on top.
Absolutely incredible stuff. I'm kind of lost for words, because we knew it was going to be close between Cameron Evans and Andrew McKinley, but I didn't expect it to be blown open like that. We've still got Stu Wyness to qualify. I'm expecting him to be in with a 2:15 or a 2:16 and closely battling with Angus Scrivener, as we see Andrew McKinley trying to improve again there. But yeah, this bodes really well for the race. This is going to be a very strong race coming up here.
Yeah, it should be, and we'll be keeping our eye on that third place the whole time. Remember, that's the one that matters. 1, 2, 3 go through. 4 and 5, they'll have to wait 2 more weeks before they get another chance to prove themselves. So that'll be weighing on the mind. Just the fact that this time, more of the guys are going to go through to the final than are not going to. So it feels kind of bad if you're left in the bottom 2 and missing out on what is ultimately a positive chance of making it through to Sunday.
Oh yeah, this is a huge chance. I mean, this is like your best chance of qualifying, as we see Mark Wyness deciding to play Skittles with the cones there. But Cameron Evans going back out there, 2:13.867. I mean, I can't actually understand where he's got that time from. 2:14, that's a fast lap. 2:15, that's good race pace. But 2:13 is just beyond me.
Yeah, simply ridiculous. And whilst we're talking about kind of lap times here, I got a wee game for you, David. So
let's go for it.
Into all quali sessions and all races that have happened here since the last adjustment to the track, which was in 2002. Who do you think holds the all-time lap record of the Nurburgring GP circuit?
Oh, I would say surely that has to be Lewis Hamilton.
You would not actually quite be there. The lap record all-time was set in quali during the 2004 Grand Prix by Takuma Sato.
No way!
Honda. Yeah.
We Takuma. Yes.
Takuma Sato has the all-time lap record. Worth noting that the race lap record was also set that year. That was, of course, Michael Schumacher in the F2004. But,
yeah.
Well played to BAR Honda. Didn't expect them still to have a lap record all these years later.
I miss wee Satsuma. He was one of my favourite drivers in F1. He was just like, you could absolutely guarantee out of the entire field, if there was anyone who did not care and would absolutely go for any chance given to him, wee Takuma would shine through every single time.
Yeah, it was fantastic to watch at this track. We always talk about how you can struggle with overtaking here. Commonly that comes down to the width of the circuit, but there's a huge range in this circuit's width. So most of it sits at about 12 metres wide. But it's actually got a range of about 10 all the way up to 25. Now, the only bit that is actually 25 metres is right here, what you can see on camera. This section that was added later on in the circuit's history, which is kind of to promote racing through what is otherwise a very technical first sector.
Yeah, we see that a lot with the F1 circuits, where they add the arena section where it loops back on itself with grandstands and the like. But one thing that's always captivated me about the Nürburgring is, of course, the legendary Nordschleife. It's not only one of those things that I want to go and drive myself, but even just being a spectator there for the 24 hours will be something absolutely breathtaking. Back to the event at hand though. We've got Cameron Evans making his way around for the final lap. Stevie Bramwell, just again to reiterate, we are running mega late for Heat 1. We had a technical issue which meant we had to restart the race. So this is race 1 just getting a way to start now. Heat 2 will be around about 25 minutes late. So you should be getting an invite around about 5 minutes to 8 o'clock. And there we go then. All of the cars are pretty much done and dusted. Angus Scrivener still on a lap. Cameron Evans is about to finish up his lap here. And I don't think he's going to improve on it. I hope he does, but I can't see him getting any improvement across the line there.
Yeah, it's already an incredible lap, so to go any faster requires such a push. Worth noting that the field pretty well spread out in this one. You got half a second, and you got 1.3, then you got another second, and then you got 2.1 back to 5th place. So if we're going to see any action, if the guys in 4th and 5th want to get involved, it's going to have to be off the line, and they know that. They need to get in and disrupt the play immediately, which is quite typical of Rated Energy.
Oh no!
They will have to do it if they want a chance at qualifying, being that much off the quality pace.
Yep. Turn 1 is going to be absolutely mannequin. Oh my goodness me! We said it couldn't be done, and he's only gone and done it. Cameron Evans, 2:13.522. Are you kidding me?
Oh my.
Cameron Evans, you better be sorry, young lad. Where did that come from? Goodness me. That's a second. Tom, I think you're the same. I'm lost for words right now.
That's ridiculously quick. That is an absolute masterclass in qualifying here. If anybody in the other heats was wondering where they can find the extra time, rewind the YouTube stream or the Facebook stream or wherever you are, watch what we showed of that lap, because that is how you go quick around here.
That is absurd. Right, Cameron Evans, Andrew McKinley, we've got Stu Wyness, we've got Angus Scrivener, and then it is Mark Wyness at the back of the grid. We see Cameron Evans gets a great start, and away we go then. Andrew McKinley looks to get a better start though, because Cameron Evans already having to defend. We can see Angus Scrivener at the back there on the inside trying to get involved as well. This is not going well for Stu Wyness, who's been punted back to the edge of the grid here. And this is starting to get a little bit cheeky around the inside of turn 1. There's going to be contact as well, and that is going to be Mark Wyness trying to make his way up. But you said it. You said that they had to get involved by turn 1, and that's exactly what Mark Wyness is doing, trying to get himself up the inside there of Andrew McKinley. But it's not going to happen right now, and that is going to leave Angus Scrivener at the back just behind Stu Wyness.
Yeah, Mark Wyness pulling off the game plan exactly as required. You can see already dropping away from those front two, but crucially he's in 3rd place, and now he's got the lights and the pressure bearing down on him. All he's got to do is stay in front, but he might already be losing out around the outside. What a move that was from Stuart Wyness. Takes the position, and now if Inclining Skate in that yellow car wants a chance to fight, he's going to need to dive bomb into the hairpin. That's his only option. He's going to give it a go. Little walk up on entry. In the end, it might compromise him. He'll drop a position here potentially to Angus Scrivener as well. But if they can just stop fighting, there might still be a chance. There might be hope that they can get through. Instead, side by side through the Schumacher S, and then a little bit of a dip off the road there from Mark Wyness. It all evens out, and as we expected, the field just beginning to open up a little bit at the front.
Tom, you've watched Xbox races before. How dare you speak of hope? It's not going to happen. Look at them. Oh, he goes wide as well. So Mark Wyness, his goose is cooked. I think Angus Scrivener moves up into 4th place there, and they're going to have to move some to catch up to Stu Wyness right now. But look at this battle for the lead. Now Cameron Evans trying to stretch his authority. 1.1 seconds right now, and that throws Stu Wyness. Andrew McKinley into the clutches of Stu Wyness.
Yeah, Stu Wyness just sitting there at the moment, relatively happy, but just closing up little by little. And this topsy-turvy race already might have thrown a few of the guys' confidence off. It's certainly not thrown off Cameron Evans. He comes across the line almost 2 seconds up on the entire field. But it's all about Andrew McKinley. Can he keep it together? He's only got a little bit over the car behind. But then a little bit of a mistake from Stuart Wyness that drifts him wide before they reach turn 2, and now he's got to do all that work all over again.
We're just watching them coming through lap 2 with 7 minutes left to go. Scott Thompson, no, we do not have a Twitch stream at the moment. We don't really have much of an audience on there. We find that YouTube and Facebook kind of meets everything that we need. We can have a little bit of banter with the community as well. So we just keep it on there. Meanwhile, Andrew McKinley, Stu Wyness and Angus Scrivener in one heck of a battle right now. Where did Andrew McKinley come from?
A little bit of a mistake, I think, is where he came from. And then another one there from Angus Scrivener, just went deep on the exit from turn number 6. We mentioned that earlier on when we were talking about the track. It just sucks you in, begs you to get on the power a little bit too early, and then you've got to get back off it again because you're going off into the gravel if you don't.
Certainly are, and yeah, this has just been an awesome race so far, hasn't it? I mean, really everything that you could expect for.
Yeah, absolutely everything. We've got a fantastic race. The battle for second still very much on, but if Angus Scrivener wants to get involved, he's going to hope that that battle for second becomes much more of a squabble or a skirmish, and with a little bit of contact, you could be right there in that hunt for qualification.
And Angus Scrivener has kind of dropped off, though. He's fallen into the clutches of Mark Wyness as well. Mark's trying to get things done here, but we have to have a mention of this guy here, Cameron Evans. I know for a fact that he's listening in right now. What a drive this is. See if this lap is that he's putting in here is a 2:13 or a 2:14. I will absolutely take my hat off to this young lad, because the pace that he's shown right now is just absurd.
Yeah, he's driving to the motto on the same.
Come on! Are you kidding me? 2:14, 2:43 in a race pace. We'd see that would take qualifying pole on nearly every previous heat so far.
He's done on lap 2 of the race. He might still get quicker from this point. It says no regrets on the side of his car, and he certainly won't have any if he can keep up this kind of pace, because it is simply remarkable from Cameron Evans. He's putting in a dominant performance in qualifying both the first attempt and the second time round. Now he's doing incredibly well in the race, and just keeping an eye on him as he comes through that first sector. He's going quick without taking risks. He's not sideways through the corners. He's not hooking it up on the curbs. He's just keeping it nice and smooth and finding lap time that nobody else has been able to. And then comes down through the right-hander at 6. Again, just so neat and tidy. Hooked it onto the bank and used that to help him pivot it round the corner, and then he descends into turn number 7. This is absolutely wonderful driving from him. On the mark, on the braking, off the brakes, lets it roll around just a little bit, and then back on the power on exit. That accelerates him up towards the Schumacher S, and he just drifts his way across to the right hand side of the circuit, pulls it towards the apex, but no more than is required. Uses a little bit of curb on the right hander because you can do so, it doesn't affect you in terms of losing stability. And then before you know it, he's into the left-hander at 10. Again, so nice and neat, tidy on the brakes. Uses exactly as much curb as you're supposed to on exit. Nice and simple through the Warsteiner curve. Potentially a little bit wide of apex, but again, it's not too important there. It's all about getting on the power, and if that's the line that works, that is one you should take. He then pulls it back across, sets himself up nicely for the chicane. This has been a very quick lap. He might even improve on the pace he set last time around. A little bit of curb on entry, a little bit of that low curb on exit, but never anywhere near the sausage curbs that lose you time, prevent you getting back on the power. Into the final corner, turns in plenty far away from that.
Tom, what do you think? Do we think he's done a 2:13?
Not quite, I don't think. 2:14.1. What's it going to be? It's a 2:14.5 that time around. So
that's quite disappointing, isn't it?
But it was tidy. That's the problem. He's still gone quicker than all the guys behind, and he doesn't look like he's trying.
He just makes it look so easy. We'll have to have a look further behind, because obviously there are still cars racing behind him. Andrew McKinley in second place there, just ahead, about a second and a half ahead of Stu Wyness. And then really, as long as Stu Wyness doesn't make any big mistakes, Angus Scrivener is going to be paid to, especially when you do things like that.
Yeah, drifting wide, and as soon as you get out over that curve again, you just lose the ability to turn in, and it just pulls you wider and wider, and it just takes so long to correct and get back onto the racing line.
Now, something has happened to Cameron Evans here, because that gap is now down to 3.8 seconds from Andrew McKinley and Cameron Evans. So, similar lap times that last lap time, right? I was panicking there because I saw the car in the background, then realised that was Stu Winus. Never mind, I'll settle down. But that gap is definitely coming down. It was, like I say, 4 seconds. It's now down to about 3.8, 3.9 seconds.
Yeah, and it's just a case of maybe Cameron making a little mistake here or there, because it's not like Andrew McKinley is off the pace. He's still going incredibly quick. A 2:14.9, in the race is right on it for every single racing driver we've seen so far. It's just Presto Evans, he's putting together a magical performance tonight.
I like that. I'm gonna use that myself. Magical performance. Right, so we are past the 75% mark, which means that this will be declared a race result. So it is as good as done and dusted if something was to happen just now. However, lots can happen in that final minute. So this is going to be the final lap for Cameron Evans just now. I don't think we're going to see a faster lap from Cameron Evans this time round. Certainly, it doesn't look to be faster than it was there, but he's going to come across line. What does he do? It was 2:14.5, 2:14.8. Yeah, so a little bit slower on that last lap, but again, still nothing to sniff at. 2:15.0 for Andrew McKinley, and those three are looking very, very safe indeed as we go into the final lap, Tom.
Yeah, unless there's a stake from one of them, this will pretty much be it, and it's what we talked about early on. Unless you get in and disrupt it very early, the pace was ultimately about a second different between each of these guys at the top, and then a little bit further back to fourth and fifth. So we predicted this is what we anticipated, and it's all kind of played out since there wasn't too much controversy at the start, and then nobody's gotten into each other as the race has progressed.
So, I think we're kind of done and dusted with race number 1, which is fine. I'm absolutely okay with that. Heat 2 though, let's turn our attention to that, because once we get this one out of the way, we have got an absolute humdinger of a race coming up. Aidan Wilson along with James Black, Cormac Patterson, we've got Tony Logie in that as well. Those are some fast drivers.
Yeah, 4 of your top 5 in the championship will be shooting it out for 3 spots in the final. It really matters. Tony Logie, he's got a reasonable lead at the top, about 62 points, I believe it is, down to Cameron Evans. But if Tony Logie suddenly doesn't qualify, not only is Cameron going to close that gap, but Aidan Wilson will, and James Black and Cormac Patterson. Remember, a couple of races ago, Aidan Wilson was at the top. He then just took a couple weeks out, so don't discount him from this championship yet.
Great point, well made, Tom. And Cameron Evans then coming round the final couple of corners here. A very good evening to Richard Smith, who has joined us in chat. We are just finishing up on qualifying heat number 1. We are running about 25 minutes behind schedule. After we get this out of the way, we will then go on to qualifying heat number 2. But a cracking race. It really has been an absolutely exemplary race from Cameron Evans. Around turn number 17, a brilliant drive and a stunning marker laid down in for Cameron Evans, crosses the line, and second place is going to go to Andrew McKinley. Third place is going to go to Stu Winus, and Mark Winus is going to finish in 4th, and I think we've got a retirement on that final lap there.
Yeah, just saw that the writing was kind of on the wall, and you just say, you know what, fair play, you beat me, I'll come again next week, but I don't really want to know that I'm coming last for about 30 seconds.
On that note then, we'll take a very short break and we'll get Heat 2 underway.
You didn't need my what you want to me. Maybe I was wrong, even once wasn't anything. So if we had another chance, I would never let you steal my heart. Bring me back to life. Don't dig deep like you would have a clue. All I see is how I was a fool. To see my heart skip beats, thinking about you. Whoa. I could say that you didn't need what you want to me. Maybe I was wrong, even once wasn't anything. Yeah, I could say that you didn't need any part of me. Yeah, maybe it's not me, you should be the one on your knees. So if we had another chance, I would never let you steal my heart. Bring me back. If we had another chance, I would never let you steal my glance. Bring me back to life. If we had another chance, I would never let you steal my glance. Bring me back to life.
Welcome back, one and all then. Heat number 2 of round 5 of the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. We've taken breath and we've got everything back with us tonight. Very good evening. Welcome back to Tom. It's great to have you on, Tom Davis. You and Andy have been just an absolute joy to bring into the season. So we hope you've had a fantastic time. But Heat 2, we've got 7 drivers out of the 10 are due to be on for the session. But more importantly, it's all the runners and riders for the championship, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got your big names in this. We got Tony Logie, Aidan Wilson, James Black, Cormac Patterson. When you get a little bit further down, you've got John Duncan, for example, who's put in some very solid performance recently. So you're looking at 4 or 5, potentially even the entire field is of the pace and quality to qualify. Yet the majority of them are not going to make it, which is a little bit hard to kind of think about, to be honest.
Yep.
This is going to have a huge effect on the long-term standings.
So the way that it used to work was that 4 drivers from each heat would go through. I think it was 5 actually for a little while as well, but because we had to squeeze it down to 3 heats and under 10 drivers, you know, we had to reduce that quite significantly to make sure that drivers could get through. So 3 drivers from each heat go through, and Cormac Patterson has no sound. So that's not a great start for Mr. Agent Zigzag, is it?
No, the sound is quite important. Obviously, it helps you feel and hear when you're in the wrong gear, or when
Yes.
the brakes are locking up, or if
Have you tried to play without sound?
I did it once accidentally, the same way Cormac Patterson's ended up, and it's not very easy.
It goes wrong very, very quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, changing gear just becomes so much harder. You're suddenly gone from this kind of instinctive response to looking for when a little light looks up on the dash, and that's so much more cognitive, and it just takes away from what you actually want to be focusing on.
You're going down straight, and in effect you're bouncing off the limiter because you can't see its time to upshift.
Yeah, spot on. You're just not quite touching it in when you would want to.
Never fun. Right, so on track then we have Tony Logie, we have got James Black, we've got John Duncan and Stuart Anderson, we've got Aidan Wilson. Welcome return to Aidan Wilson, very, very fast driver, and this is going to be a very tasty heat. Stephen Bramwell, and then Cormac Patterson is in pit lane, potentially sorting out his sound issues. I wonder if that's he's just been speaking to himself so much, talking himself up. Oh, as we say, Aidan Wilson, let's cut away from that. Spinning it around and around and around the corner.
Yeah, he went for a little ride on a carousel there. It came round, back said hi to the front, and that's the first lap gone, but he's still got 6 minutes just over that left in the session. He'll get round, have another 2 chances at a hot lap, so nothing to worry about quite yet.
Awesome stuff. Right, let's have a look how they are shaping up, because I mean we've really not got any laps on the board yet. They're just starting their first laps just now, aren't they?
Yeah, this is their first real attempt at it, so potentially why Aidan Wilson made that mistake, just running in a little bit hot, and everybody else just coming around, making sure that you get a lap time in. This is generally the banker lap is what it's referred to for new motorsport fans, where you make sure you put in a lap that's maybe 2-3 tenths up to half a second off of what you can do, but you know at the very worst you've got something to fall back on.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it's so important as well, because once you've got your banker lap in, you can rest assured knowing that you can really push, but you've got at least maybe say 4th, 5th or 6th on the grid. And when you're trying to get to 3rd place minimum, that's really, you can't be afford to go say 2 minutes left and not have any times coming in. Meanwhile, Tom, times coming in. Tony Logie 2:14.120 is the first time on the board.
That's quick. That is very quick. That's John Duncan coming in just behind, a long way off it. And then James Black, not too far adrift. 8 tenths, obviously no small margin, but seeing that you're on a 2:14 and the person you're trying to beat is on a 2:14 is wildly different. Having that seconds number be different.
It seems to be, and just touching on that point, Tam Hamill points out that having your lights on is worth 5 brake horsepower. Absolutely is, buddy. That second gap is so important as a mental thing as well, because if you see they're only 8 tenths away, we can do this. A second and a half away, you're like, yeah, I'll maybe just settle for what I can get.
Yeah, of course. It's all a mental game, and with the field being this close, and when it matters as much as it does this time, you need to make sure that everything's calm, that you're focused on the next corner and then the corner after that, not thinking, oh, I've got a second to find, where am I going to brake late and find half a tenth? Like, it is a case of kind of just staying calm and letting the car drive itself instead of overdriving the circuit.
See, this is so deceiving for me. So for myself personally, I've been spending a lot of time on Assetto Corsa Competizione, and it's the GT3 cars that you get to tear up around. Nurburgring is one of the circuits you can do that. So the difference in speed from a GT5 car to my usual Porsche GT3 car is absolutely absurd. I'm looking at this and I'm like, what is he on a slow lap or something here? And this is how fast the little GT5s can go.
Yeah, and it comes back to what we mentioned right at the top of the show, the fact that last week they were in GTE, which is pretty similar to GT3, just that's the current Le Mans classing system. And now they're in GT5, and as you mentioned, that speed difference is huge, but also the way the car handles, it was quite common to see the Aston pivoting on themselves under brakes, whereas these just give you the confidence to push for the extra 10.
These are like little land yachts that just sort of gently cruise into the corner and it's all fine. Although we saw from a couple of weeks ago you can get it very, very wrong in these cars as well. But the other point as well is that they're using the different chicane. So for the GT3 cars, they use that later chicane. That final chicane is the one at the back, which is a much gentler entry point. So this one here, this is the club style chicane at the end, where you really have to break off a lot of speed to get that down. Tam Hamill, yes, I am on Assetto Corsa Competizione on PC. I haven't bought the GT4 pack. It looks very, very good. So if any of you have all tried that, let me know, and let me know how it is. R Factor 2 though as well is becoming another favourite of mine. I've always had a soft spot for Project Cars 2 because it's the only sim that actually has Knock Hell on it, so tends to be the reason that I used to spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's the classic case of, oh, I've been there, that looks amazing when the drivers were doing it, and then you get a chance to do it and feel it all for yourself, and it just adds that little kind of special bit in your heart, like, oh, I'm only 2/10 off of Jason Plato, I can get there, that kind of feeling. And ultimately we do this to have fun, and that's a big part of why you would want Project Cars 2 if you're from Scotland.
And I mean, the sim racing community has had a wonderful, wonderful 6 months in all of this turmoil and heartache for the entire planet. And sim racing has really, really kind of benefited from all this extra attention that it's had. I've got no doubt it'll die away, and rightfully so, when real motorsport returns to the tracks as it already is starting to do so. But I think that it's made a name for itself, and other people now, as well as just having a bit of fun like we're doing here on the consoles, realise that it can be used as a training tool, realise that it can be used as an enjoyable form of entertainment. And the racing's real, but the costs aren't.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Just bringing it back to the current session, I think Aidan Wilson put in another lap but made another mistake there. His time was a 2:20, I believe, now it's down to a 2:99. That would imply another error from him, which leaves him with pretty much one chance to get it right. If he doesn't get it right this time around, he's in big trouble.
He certainly is. It's a difficult one because James Black is hunting him down, but he's not really putting him under all that much pressure. And again, with it just being qualifying, it doesn't really matter all that much, though, does it?
No, we've seen it time and time again in the Xbox races. You start from pole, somebody tries to have you down the inside, both of you wiped out, and suddenly it's the guy who's 6th on the grid that's leading the way. There is plenty and plenty of permutations that end up with your grid position just not mattering in the slightest.
John Duncan has been given the command from Andrew Gilman, Scenario 8. We all know what that means, so John Duncan clearly is going to win this race in the final lap. But back to qualifying then, it's all done and dusted. It looks like Tony Logie is taking pole position with a 2:14.120 from James Black, although James Black is on a really, really strong lap just now. We've then got John Duncan in 3rd place, Aidan Wilson in 4th, Stuart Anderson in 5th, 6th place is Stephen Bramwell, and then 7th place is Cormac Patterson, who has not set a time and is very much struggling from the looks of things on the chat there. He is not happy, he's no sound, and his controller is really giving him some issues. So yeah, that's not really the start that you want to have. Tony Logie has decided he has had enough after going very, very wide. James Black is going to come through. He's going to really be the only one, I think, that can potentially do something different here.
Yes, coming through that right-hander at the Weinsteiner curve, I believe.
Well done. I'm quite happy with that.
On it every single time, but seems pretty good so far from Black Jam. He'll come through that right-hander kink. Fire sprouting from the exhaust of that Ginetta GT5. Breaks in for the chicane. Is it neat? Is it tidy? It definitely seems neat and tidy. Then the final question, is it quick? He'll accelerate towards the final corner at turn number 15. Again, we've mentioned this time and time again. It's all about just getting everything spot on, because that one punishes you. He's a little bit wide, but he keeps it on the track. What is the time for the current P2, man?
That's not improved. It's not improved. It was 2:15.024 from James Black there, so that keeps him in second place. John Duncan in third, Ian Wilson in fourth, Stuart Anderson fifth, Stephen Bramwell in sixth place, and Cormac Patterson in seventh place. I love the fact that we've got some Gunter Steiner banter going on in chat just now. We're obviously all reminiscing over the door getting smashed.
Yeah, that was a moment, wasn't it?
It was a moment. Gunter Steiner for me is like the Malcolm Tucker of F1. He's just absolutely wonderful, really is. Anyway, enough chat. Let's get on with race number 2 for the Xboxes this evening. 10-minute race, and then we go to heat number 3. Remember, qualifying is almost irrelevant when you've got drivers as fast as this, all trying to go into the corner number turn number 1 is what I was trying to say. Oh, Tom, we are getting ready to go here. 5 seconds to go. The lights start to come on here for the penultimate time at Nurburgring, and away we go. Great start for Tony Logie, but did he jump? That looked suspicious there, because look at James Black. James Black is going to have him by the first corner.
Yeah, a fantastic start from James Black, regardless of what happened to Tony Logie. He's managed to get himself onto the inside. The inside line always wins in turn 1 at Nurburgring. Just behind that, you got Aiden Wilson. He's pushing John Duncan a little bit into the corner. John Duncan, his results going to go a little bit wide. And there, I believe that Stephen Bramwell was facing the wrong direction. But Tony Logie still in the lead, despite the pressure coming from behind. And now Black is potentially the one who's going to have to start looking defensive, as well, that's a lot of cars who want to get by him at this stage in the race.
Yeah, and look at that. That's a nice little gap there for Tony Logie already, because James Black is having 4 cars that want to hunt him down right now for that second place. That is John Duncan. Cormac Patterson has had a blinder of a start. That is nonsense he was telling us about, having all those issues, because look at that, up to 4th place already. Ian Wilson has had a big moment there and is at the back of the field. So Aiden is really struggling with this car right now.
Yeah, we mentioned it. Aiden coming back from a couple races off. He's still in the hunt for the championship in theory, but that's not done him any favours at all. Meanwhile, at the front, a little bit of a battle here. That's Cormac Patterson. He's trying to go around the outside of John Duncan, I believe.
That was Stuart Anderson.
The other way around. That was Stuart Anderson trying to go around the outside of Cormac Patterson. Further up the field, James Black sitting in the middle. He's got a couple tenths back to John Duncan behind him, and almost a second now to try and gain up to Tony Logie. And Tony Logie is trying to pull off the game plan once again. We've seen it last week. We saw it the week before that as well. If he can hit the front and get into his rhythm, he's like Jorge Lorenzo. He's just going to go. You need to interrupt it, and that's exactly what's happened. Slow down penalty, it would seem, for Tony Logie. He drops down to 3rd, and now he needs to watch out, because of one little mistake in front of him, he gets taken out with that. He's not qualifying. The championship leader under some threat here.
Game on, my friend, game on. What a race we've got so far shaping up then. This is by far the most exciting race that we've had so far tonight. James Black, now your new race leader as we go across the line for lap number 2 here at Nurburgring GP. JD Baird, John Duncan is in 2nd place there, with Tony Logie trying desperately to catch on, but my attention is caught by Cormac Patterson and Stuart Anderson and Stephen Bramwell on the back of that train as well. So this is an awesome little battle. Look at that. That's John Duncan trying to go around the outside of corner number 3 there. It's not going to happen, but that's going to bring Tony Logie up the inside as well. John Duncan desperately trying to hold on to that second place, attacking while defending. Oh, Tony Logie takes him on the exit of that corner. Absolutely textbook stuff, and a wonderful, wonderful corner there from Tony Logie. Is he going to try and fight it up the inside? I don't think he can. He's not got the pace. This is riveting stuff, Tom.
Not quite close enough into the left-hander, just showing himself in the mirrors of James Black, but we've seen James Black, he can withstand the pressure. We know that he's got the capability to win this race, it's just if the mistake comes or not, because there is nobody quicker in this field than Tony Logie, and when he's on...
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Tony Logie round the outside of turn 7. Did that just happen? Did we actually just see that? That is inspired driving from Tony Logie to hang it out round the outside of John Duncan, of James Black, and take that lead back. That is absurd.
What a move, and he had it done before they even got to the Schumacher S. It was pretty much as perfect as that move could have been, and it was such high risk as well. Remember, that's your championship leader pulling that off. Absolutely no fear from Tony Logie, and now this front 3, they've definitely got a breakaway from everybody behind them. So if they just calm down, if they just settle down, all 3 of these guys will go through, because Cormac Patterson is a long way behind them.
Yep, Cormac Patterson, the leader of the rest of them. Stephen Bramwell as well, up into 5th place, and Stuart Anderson is down in 7th place. So Stephen Bramwell up to 5th. Aidan Wilson up into 6th place. He's really having a hard time with that Ginetta right now. He is really, really struggling to keep that thing on the track, and he was so fast with it, but it just wasn't to be. Oh, and Tony Logie, another slowdown penalty. Can you believe it? He's down to 3rd again.
And he keeps getting them at the worst places as well. He's picked it up down the long straight. Pretty much anywhere else on this circuit, you can manage to make it to the next corner, where then you slow down and the game's like, yeah, you know what, you slowed down, when in actual fact you were just braking for the corner. Tony Logie, however, he's got it right at the beginning of the straight, meaning that he's probably running a little bit on at the final corner, and that's just the one place you cannot afford to do it. Now, we saw some wonder moves from him last lap. He's got to do them all over again. He's got the lights on, trying to apply the pressure to John Duncan.
Let's keep an eye on Tony Logie then as he comes round the halfway point of the circuit and the halfway point of the race, because we've only got 4 minutes 20 left to go in the session. I think this is going to be a dive up to the inside from Tony Logie. Tries to go around the outside again, and John Duncan is wise to it. Look at how much speed that Tony Logie takes around the hairpin there. But they're all caught back up on the leader. The gap now just 0.4 of a second. The 3 cars split by less than 0.7 of a second. And this is building up very slowly, very softly to a big, big crescendo in this race.
Yeah, and John Duncan was smart there at the hairpin. He will have seen the move that was pulled last time around, and he needs to just put his car in the perfect position to prevent it, saying, no, if you want it, you're going to have to do something else. James Black, however, he's done it all on his own. We mentioned how easy it is to go deep there at turn 11. He's done exactly that in the gravel, essentially giving himself a slowdown penalty. Tony Logie, meanwhile, is trying to make a move stick on what would have been second, is now for the lead of the race around the outside in the chicane. That's not going to happen, but he'll be looking for the exit. Can he get the cutback? He definitely gets a little bit of a superior exit compared to John Duncan, but he's not quite going to get it done. He'll file in behind as they come round turn 15. And with about 2 laps left to go in this race, Tony Logie is looking very racy once again.
How scared would you be if you've got Tony Logie right behind you like that? I'd be just like, yep, fine, you take it, mate. I'm just, please don't hurt me, not in the face.
And that might be exactly what's happened there. John Duncan didn't cover the inside on entrance to turn number 1, is happy to let Tony Logie go. And now, assuming that Tony Logie doesn't pick up a 3rd slowdown penalty, he should be set to just pull away at the front of this one, and John Duncan knows that. He's got himself a nice little buffer over James Black, who then has a huge gap back to Cormac Patterson in 4th, and that might just be the call from John Duncan. We've had our fun, let's make sure we get through to Sunday.
Now, while we were distracted by all the fun and games on that one, Aidan Wilson has retired from the race. He was struggling quite a lot with handling on that car. It just wasn't to be, and he has pulled out of the race. Back for 4th and 5th place though, Cormac Patterson fighting off Stephen Bramwell right now. Be interesting to hear what happened to Aidan, because that looks so unlike him. He was just really struggling with the setup on that car.
Yeah, he stated in chat that he simply couldn't keep it on the road, which is an unusual issue to have, but he did the right thing if that's the case, pulling into the pits, make sure you don't cause chaos with anybody else. And this battle across the field is beginning to heat up. Tony Logie, he's pulled away, he's got 9/10, and then James Black has a long way to catch up if he wants to try and claim second. Cormac Patterson is also beginning to get a little bit over Stephen Bramwell in that battle for 4th position. So similar to last time, as soon as the guys stop getting in each other's way, as soon as you kind of allow people to get into their rhythm, we see a natural order beginning to progress. The interesting thing is that we were talking about championship. That's Tony Logie, John Duncan, and James Black going through. No Cormac Patterson, no Aidan Wilson from amongst that top set. So John Duncan could be in a very good position here if he can pick up some points on Sunday.
We're about to start the final lap here for heat number 2 of the qualifying for round 5 of the Xbox SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. You're listening to David Christie and Tom Davis bringing you live coverage here of the qualifying heats. And we are nearly done and dusted with qualifying heat 2. It's been a stunning performance from Tony Logie, twice coming from the jaws of defeat down in 3rd place to make his way all the way through. You've got to say convincingly, as I pause my breath, because he had a little bit of a wiggle there on the exit of turn 2. That car is not looking 100% solid, is it?
Yeah, so obviously you've got the 2 setup options. You've got stable, you've got loose. Now last week we were talking about stable maybe being an option because of how difficult that car was to drive. This week I'd anticipate pretty much everyone we have seen and will see is using that loose setup because it's just that little bit quicker. The only thing to watch is that if you touch the curb just a little bit wrong, it will bite you in that loose setup. It's not going to kind of compensate for itself or get up on the curb and kind of wiggle around. It will try and spin on you, so potentially a little bit of a moment from Tony Logie just coming as a result of that.
Yeah, but he's navigated the first half of the circuit very well. Round turn 7 there, the scene of that stunning overtaking manoeuvre. It's through into the Schumacher S's, and it's all looking in the bag so far right now. Just a couple of corners left to go for Tony Logie, with John Duncan very comfortable in that 2nd place there. He will be delighted, and it's a very strong race that he's had tonight. James Black in 3rd as well. Cormac Patterson, he's not had a bad race. It's just been unfortunate that he's been caught through with all of the battles. We've seen Stephen Bramwell and Stuart Anderson there as well. I was expecting Stuart Anderson to be a little bit closer up to the top of the field there, as they're still fighting out through there. 2:14.050 from Tony Logie, the last lap round there. Incredible pace, absolutely incredible pace, but a worthy win tonight, and a very enjoyable win to watch for Tony Logie as he comes across the line to win qualifying heat number 2. 2nd place goes to John Duncan, 3rd place is going to go to James Black, and then 4th place is going to go to Cormac Patterson. As we see, a huge moment there. Stuart Anderson facing the wrong way at the exit of the chicane comes together with Stephen Bramwell, and that is going to be a 2-second penalty for Stephen Bramwell there. What a race.
Yeah. What a race. Tony Logie, he had to fight for it, didn't he? He kind of cost himself a couple of times, picked up some unnecessary penalties. But after each of those incidents, he just worked his way back through. In a couple of cases with some remarkable manoeuvres. And he earned it, and I think all 3 of those guys proved that they are ultimately the quickest 3 and deserve to go through to Sunday.
Excellent, good stuff. So again, we'll take a very short break. When we come back, we will have our final Xbox heat of the evening. We'll see you then.
maybe I was wrong, even once wasn't anything. Yeah, I could say that you didn't need any part of me. Yeah, maybe it's not me, you should be the one on your knees. So if we had another chance, I would never let you steal my
Welcome back then for our final heat of the evening. It's David Christie alongside Tom Davis here with you. Heat number 3 for the Xbox One in the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. We've got about 8 cars that we've got taking part tonight out of the 10 drivers. And yeah, it should be a decent heat here, Tom.
Yeah, it should be an exciting one. All of these guys pretty close in the championship. Keep an eye on the Josh McNabb, Bryn Hawkins rivalry. They've only got 4 points between them, and they're pretty far up the order as well. So a few little rivalries brewing within this one. The 5th heat of round 5, so maybe there'll be a battle for P5 as well if everything lines like the stars.
Well, let's see if it does, because obviously we've got Angus... no, we don't, actually. Let me just refer to my notes properly. Bryn Hawkins, Chloe Grant, John Glover, Andrew Gilman, Jay Kennedy, Ross Dunn, Josh McNabb, Ian Menzies, Tom Binney and Shea Brennan are supposed to be in this one. However, we only have 7 out of the 10 cars actually on the server.
Yeah, and it comes down to a similar situation as we've had throughout the Xbox heats. Slightly less racers means a slightly higher chance of qualifying, but it also means that you're probably going to push that little bit harder if you're just on the cusp of it. So there's a chance that we see a little scuffle here and there as they fight it out for that 3rd place.
7.5 minutes left to go in qualifying now. Lots of people to talk about in this session. Josh McNabb is obviously one of them, incredibly fast young lad. Chloe Grant is in this one as well. You've got Bryn Hawkins, who we've seen at the high end of the races so far as well. Jay Kennedy, blistering pace on that young lad as well. So Jay Kennedy, I don't think we've actually got him in tonight. He was in F1 2020.
Yeah.
As you do.
He's set his priorities.
It's fine. We don't care.
You can understand, but I'm not going to lie, it hurts a little bit. We hope
it does.
We can see Bryn Brum on the screen at the moment, however. That is, of course, Bryn Hawkins. Nice and easy for us to remember that one. And
you say that, it took me 3 weeks to realise that.
That'll be our just going around to start the first of the flying laps. Ross Dunn as well, keep an eye out on him. He's very, very quick. And I'm not gonna lie, I quite like that livery. I do quite like the red with a yellow front. I normally go for a bit of British racing green, but that one's caught my eye. Yeah,
the Karsten livery does stand out quite well. Andrew McKinley in chat says, I've got the F1 2020 game. Have you got it, David? No, I don't. I'm really hit and miss. I'm not very good at the F1 2019. I'm not really good at the F1 games at all. It's a really weird one. I just can't seem to react fast enough for it. So if there's enough demand, I might consider it, but I prefer my tin top racing. So you'll find me mostly on R Factor 2, Project Cars 2 and Assetto Corsa. As well as the Assetto Corsa Competizione. I've been enjoying Assetto Corsa lately. I've just discovered these, what they call, Tom, free roam maps, which are add-ons to the game, where basically you get these massive expanses of road that you can just go and traverse. There's one called LA Canyons, which is just amazing. If you ever having a rubbish day, you just fire that up and you just go for an absolute blast.
Certainly be giving it a go. Everyone loves a little bit of kind of free roam space. It's the reason why some of those open world games have done so well, and surely. I've got Assetto Corsa, I'm yet to load it up, but I can't wait. And of course, I myself, I don't yet have it. I've been procrastinating that purchase a little bit, but I will be getting F1 2020 because that's where my commentary roots are. I'll be doing.
I was going to say that's where your people are, isn't it?
Yeah, I got first race in a couple of weeks. The seasons for me haven't quite started yet. But I do need to make that purchase. It's been weighing on my mind, and pretty soon it'll be weighing on my bank account.
So what was your first sim racing game then, Tom?
My first sim racing game? I don't know if... When does it become sim racing, I guess, is the question.
Well, what was your first racing game?
The first racing game was Gran Turismo 1.
Nice.
I got out that, and then we had Gran Turismo 2, I believe, as well. And then since then, not a whole lot. If you remember Rage Racer, I think that was...
I love that.
A whole bunch in that era, and then I kind of stopped for a long time. Still followed motorsport, but not really involved with the games so much until probably around about F1 2016, and then started doing commentary from F1 2019 onwards. Yeah,
that's certainly where I started. Actually, I might have started a little bit before that. So I had back in the days of the Master System and the Mega Drive, Ayrton Senna's Super Monaco GP2. That was just unbelievable, that game. It was just amazing. And then obviously on the PlayStation we had Gran Turismo, and you had that. Tom, tell me, were you one of those kids that used the Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak?
Oh, I don't think so.
Our friendship rests on this. You always had that one kid, because you know the car I'm talking about, don't you?
It was a long time ago, David.
So it was like this big red car, and it had something stupid like 1,200 brake horsepower, and it was for the hill climbs. And you always got that one friend who would try and use it on a race, and just like couldn't even turn a corner, but would win by just straight lining into the wall all the way through.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. No, I wasn't one of those.
Back in the days where wired controllers that you could just use like a nunchuck and spin at their head. But I digress too much. Anyway, back to the timing screens, and Andrew Gilman up at the top there, 2:15.398 from Josh McNabb there. That's unusual in the terms of we're in the 2:15s. We've not seen anybody in the 2:14s yet.
Yeah, this one just seeming to be a little bit slower as it stands. Of course, still room for improvement, but ultimately it doesn't matter how slow it is if the competition is tight, and it certainly is. You got positions 3 through 5 separated by less than half a tenth. I can't quite do the maths that quickly, but I think it's 0.3 of a tenth, so 3/100ths of a second that separates those guys. And if that can stay that close, we are on for a cracker of a race. Meanwhile, Ross Dunn, he's going to come across. He's going to ruin my statistic immediately, only for John Glover to then go a little bit faster again. And that really does matter because you want to make sure you're on the side of the grid and that you can slipstream behind first instead of second place. And you don't kind of have to slash across quite so much. Or even, if the front guys get caught up, potentially fourth is where you want to be because it just gives you a little bit more time to react to what's going on ahead.
So, Bryn Hawkins is now adding to that party as well, 1.8 seconds behind the leader. So this is probably one of the closest splits that we've had in terms of the amount of drivers, just as you alluded to there, Tom. So, yeah, this is looking very, very nice indeed. I'm just watching Josh McNabb there. He's on his way down. I want to see how Chloe Grant's going to get on as well, because she's currently at 2:22, going very, very wide there at turn 1. And I think that was Andrew Gilman down into second place there.
Yeah, and the time's just getting a little bit quicker as well. We mentioned it's not quite sub 1:15 yet, but P1 is pretty close to it, a 1:15.0. So if there's any kind of improvement now from Josh McNabb, we will be at around about the times that we've been seeing all evening. But as I mentioned, I don't know about you, but I don't really mind as long as it's a close field, and that's exactly what we've got on our hands here.
Yeah, it certainly is. So we've got lots to come in store here, and one final 10-minute race here at Nurburgring GP, and then next time we move to COTA, the Circuit of the Americas, and that's actually, it caught me out because for some reason I thought that was tonight. So I'd done all the graphics with Texas behind it, and it was looking wonderful, and then of course it wasn't. It was absolutely useless.
Yeah, COTA will be great. I love it. Also, from my F1 roots, have a lot of experience around that track. Yeah, people do love it. Plenty of runoff as well, so you can expect these guys will be giving it everything at that one. But as it stands, they've currently got the far less forgiving Nurburgring to deal with. Of course, not quite as unforgiving as the Nordschleife. The North Ring is what that translates to. But this GP Strecke, this Grand Prix circuit, is certainly up there in terms of difficulty, and like we've seen, it does punish you when you get it wrong.
Certainly does. So Chloe Grant is just popped on chat. She will 100% not be doing well. She's lost all of her sound somehow. So yeah, it was being pointed out to Chloe, if you're in a party, to leave that party, and it may resolve your sound issues. So yeah, listen to me, like I'm down with the folk and know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's not the best, is it? Bryn Hawkin up to third place there, 2:16.003, as Josh McNabb as well, 2:15.069. So we're not into the 2:14s just yet, but this is a strong heat.
This is, yeah, it's so tight. You notice previously we were talking about a second being the gap, and it was a second throughout the field. Here it's 3/10. There's 3/10 or less between every single car, and when you've got that kind of even distribution, you're bound to get some fighting because everyone's going to be slower due to the fact that they're side by side through every other corner, and as a result the whole field is able to stick together as one cluster. So we got a good race on our hands here, but they're just coming around to complete their final qualifying lap. That's currently Josh McNabb you're on board with, and he'll hope to just push the boat out a little bit more, because when it was up higher than 3/10, you're feeling okay, but as soon as it hits 2/10, you know that there's a chance they could yet pick you at the end of the session.
Yeah, certainly, and that's what tends to happen through the majority of the qualifying sessions. But a stunning consistency from all of the drivers there, 1.8 seconds between your top 6 drivers. Can Andrew Gilman bring anything out of the bag here? He's going to try, certainly. We've got about 60 seconds left to go in the overspill of the qualifying, but here comes Josh McNabb. All eyes on him. He's got a big support in chat, and I know they're all watching on Facebook just now. He comes out the turn 15 or turn 16, is it? Turn 15. Comes across line, cannot improve, so it's still pole position then for Josh McNabb. Let's have a look at Andrew Gilman. Andrew has decided to give up. He is not going to do it. 2:15.398. And there we go. So Tom Bin has retired from the race. He has been disconnected from the server. Very unfortunate for Tom. We hope to have you back onto the next time at COTA. But there we go. Josh McNabb, Andrew Gilman, Bryn Hawkins, John Glover, Ross Dunn. We've got Ian Menzies and Chloe Grant. Here we go then. Josh McNabb. A lot of pressure on this young lad. Son of Stevie McNabb, one of the illustrious names up at Knockhill, and really kind of one of the real nice guys of the paddock up at Knockhill. And Josh is putting that name to good use, really, and a lot of pressure on him. 2 seconds left to go. The lights are on here at Nurburgring for the final time tonight. Oh, that was a good start from Josh, but that was maybe too good. Did he get a bit of a jump start there? Josh McNabb immediately moving over to the right hand side of the track to cover off Andrew Gilman. He is going to have to watch himself. Andrew Gilman again trying to have a little peek. It's not going to happen, and that is a very, very good use. Who is that coming up from all the way back at the grid there? That was Chloe Grant. What a move on the brakes from Chloe Grant to move herself up into 4th place and around the outside of turn 3 here. Awesome stuff. Josh McNabb then from Bryn Hawken, Andrew Gilman in 3rd place, Chloe Grant around the outside trying to make it stick. A little bit of contact there, but it's not going to happen. Has to pull on the anchors there. Well,
yeah, Bryn Hawkins as well. We talked about that move around the outside from Chloe Grant, but Bryn Hawkins, similar move, caught Gilman napping into turn number 1, and suddenly it's Hawkins who's looking very set, and Gilman is the person who's under pressure from the guys behind. They've got Chloe and the entire field looking for that last qualification spot, so that's why you see Gilman pushing up and just trying to make sure that they're not the last one of that top 3. Like they say, you don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun your best mate.
Oh,
there comes the move. Little bit of contact. Chloe still correcting that one. Slides oversteer on the grass. Everyone else behind them also trying to correct little bits of oversteer and understeer. And suddenly, they're just a little bit more spread out. But keep your eye on John Glover. That's the yellow car, the Wasp himself. Very, very identifiable. He had just a bigger moment through the hairpin. And now, he's got to get a little bit defensive from Ross Dunn, who's dropped down the order as the race began.
Yeah, this is not what they wanted to see, because that means that Andrew Gilman and Bryn Hawken, now 2nd and 3rd place respectively, they're safe, they're comfortable in that qualifying position right now. Chloe Grant having to hold on to Ian Menzies right behind her, and John Glover as well. So this is really, really going to heat up very, very nicely. They need to get past them, they need to get onto the tail of Bryn Hawken and Andrew Gilman if they want to have any chance of qualifying right now.
Yeah, it's not too big, that gap, but it's going to be resisting the urge to fight. That group of 4 that aren't qualifying at the moment, they are definitely a group of 4. It'll be so easy to squabble amongst themselves, but they can't afford to. If they want any chance of qualifying, they need to just employ a little bit of teamwork and kind of slipstream their way up to 3rd place for Bryn Hawkins. Into turn 1 then. Here's your race leader, very neat and tidy, and followed through almost exactly the same by Gilman and Bryn Hawkins. 4th, still a little bit further back. They've got about 3 seconds to close if they want to get onto it, but Josh McNabb at the front is not giving any quarter. Through so tidy at 3. Turn 4 again runs it out to the limit of the track, but crucially not over it. And this will be good. Ian Minguez, I'm going to go for. He's doing okay.
You've just gone for it, have you?
He's
oh no.
In there. Chloe Grant, we saw how hard she was pushing, but Grant potentially involved in a little bit of contact there. That front end is very scuffed up, particularly considering how wide the track is at that part. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any sort of reports coming for that, because that's definitely compromised her race.
Yeah, she's done and dusted. In fact, she was complaining. Oh my goodness me! Wow, let's take a little look elsewhere as Chloe Grant retires from the race after that one. That was a huge impact. Now, this is what I want to see. Bryn Hawken is trying to hold on to that 3rd place, but I think Ian Menzies, that's what I'm going with, Ian Menzies is slowly catching up there, because that gap now is just 2.7 seconds. However, look at John Glover, he's trying to stay in that hunt as well.
Yeah, both Minguez and Glover are still right there.
Can you imagine if we're both wrong, Tom?
I fully expect to be. He'll be sending some angry emails throughout the next week, making sure that Andy doesn't get it wrong on Sunday. But as it stands, Bryn Hawkins is doing enough, but that gap is not a comfortable one. It sits at about 2.1 seconds, because it just keeps on coming down. It was 2.5 earlier on in the lap. And just seeing it come down progressively, even if they're not quite doing enough to catch you, that could be enough to put them off your game.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that when they're behind you and they're fighting and they're still catching him hand over fist, as John Glover moves to the right hand side there, tucks back in to get another helping of Slipstream here. We're on lap number 3 and 5 minutes left to go in this final heat for the Xbox tonight. John Glover makes a dive up the inside, tries to pull on the anchors down in towards turn 1. Can he make that move stick? Because that means Ian Menzies is going to have to move the wrong way around. There's a bit of contact there, and this is going to allow Bryn Hawkins to escape and move off into the sunset here.
Yeah, that gap back up beyond where it was now. It's at about 3 seconds, just because that little bit of door banging between Ian and John Glover. They'll then come through turn number 4, and that yellow car is looking very, very racy, isn't it? It's just following behind. Every single inch is being followed.
We have an official adjudicator. Nicola is in here. Nicola, you're going to have to tell us which one of us is pronouncing it right and which one of us is pronouncing it wrong, so I wait with bated breath. Meanwhile, John Glover around the outsides of the corner there. He's going to have the inside line going in towards turn 1 as Ian Menzies late onto the brakes and loses out, and that is going to hand the place then to John Glover. Moves up into 4th place and is now 3.5 seconds behind Bryn Hawkins. Meanwhile, your race leader, we've not really had a chance to catch up. It's me, I'm wrong. Right, okay, so it's Ian Minges.
It's Minges. I knew it. I had a hunch.
Tom, shut up.
It was meant to be. We'll get back to the race before David gets too upset with me.
Oh, it's
Josh
fine. I'm
Nass
just,
is leading the way, but I believe we were discussing Menez. He's picked up a little bit of a penalty potentially. I believe that's what that red means.
Certainly is. Well spotted.
Dropping back and potentially in towards the clutches of Ross Dunn in 6th.
In fact, he's gone.
Right on top of each other. So Ross Dunn through. Ian Minges not liking how that car feels at the moment. He's very close behind the red one as he comes into the chicane. Is he quite close enough to try and move? No. How's the exit? It's actually not as good as Ross Dunn's on that occasion. So with that penalty, with having to make the move, it's all on Ian Minges, and he just pokes a nose up into the final corner. If anything, that's going to allow a move to be done on the exit, because Ross Dunn had to account for that. He had to avoid him, and that compromised his line through the whole corner, but somehow he's going to salvage an exit good enough to keep that white car behind him for now.
Certainly has, and back to that fight for 3rd place. Bryn Hawkins looking very comfortable now. That gap is now 3.6 seconds, and yeah, I can't see them being any issue. Andrew Gilman as well, though, 2nd place. What an effort from him. 2.5 seconds behind this man here, Josh McNabb, who will, this is his penultimate lap. We'll see him go on his final lap in just a minute and a half's time. What a race we've had here.
Yeah, it's been fantastic, and we've almost neglected to talk about them for a while now. Those front 3 are the guys who will qualify, and they've all put in remarkable performances. You'll see the gaps between them pretty much even, and Wasp, he's making a reasonable attempt to close them in, but with only 2 minutes left in the session, I doubt it's possible.
I'm just looking, that gap is now down to about 2.6 seconds, so it could be done. That's about 3/4 of a second he's taken off him in this lap, and if he can get the pressure on, then yeah, who knows what could happen, because that's now 2.6 seconds is about what's the difference between the two of them now.
Yeah, it comes down to what we were saying earlier, that kind of mental effect. You're never going to catch the car ahead on pure pace, but if you can get it below, say, 1.5, then a mistake might come from Bryn Hawkins, and that's the kind of error that you need to force, because 2.4, 2.6 seconds, that is not doable in a lap and a third at this point.
So a minute left to go in the race, and we're going to start our penultimate lap in just we're on our penultimate lap, excuse me. We're going to start our final lap in just a second, as a stunning performance from Josh McNabb. Lights to flag. This has been so easy for the youngster, and has made it look very, very straightforward indeed. That gap further behind us is now 2.2 seconds between Bryn Hawkins and John Glover, so we'll keep our eye on that. But Josh McNabb onto the final lap of the race here. Comfortable 3-second gap ahead of Andrew Gilman behind him. And let's have a look here at Bryn Hawkins trying to catch up onto sorry, John Glover tried to catch up onto him just now. Yeah, 2.1 seconds. That gap is coming down, but I think it's too little, too late.
It's already down to 1.5 now, 1.4. Clearly, this Mercedes Arena section is somewhere where John Glover is very, very comfortable. Josh McNabb at the front, he's comfortable regardless of what happens. He's got 4 seconds over the next car. To be honest, there's a chance that he could go on a little picnic. He could go pay a visit to the beaches that are the gravel trap, and he could still win this race. It's been utterly dominant from Josh McNabb. Credit to him, he did well in qualifying and then did what you always aim to do, carries it through to the race and was likely to a race victory.
1 second.
It's coming down. We mentioned it.
This could happen. This could happen. It's now half a second, Tom.
I like the way you said my name. You're like, Tom, it might happen. I'm excited. But yeah, like you say, 0.8 is the gap now. And you got to remember, overtaking spots, the final chicane and the final corner are both opportunities, and you can get them on entry or exit of each of those. So the overtaking opportunities being at the end of that, which just gives you that little bit more time to try and close in, as the gap's now around about 0.6 for a moment there. And Josh McNabb, he can't even see any of this. He is in the distance. It'll be a well-earned victory for him and a well-earned qualification for Gilliman as well. But now John Glover is right on the back of Bryn Hawkins. They'll come into the chicane for the final time. Bryn Hawkins defends the inside. John will, as a result, have to look to the exit. It looks like Bryn was a little bit wider. In fact, they were. John closes right up, but has to check themselves a little bit. Only 1 corner left to go. Not going to be close enough on entry. Potentially trying to set up an exit. Will it be enough so early on the power? The yellow car closing, but it's not going to happen. Enough. Bryn Hawkins holds on for what must be the hardest earned qualification spot of tonight's entire competition.
Yep, and a fantastic win there for Josh McNabb. Very, very well done to the youngster. 2:15.880 is his fastest lap of the race there. About 4 seconds ahead of second place there, Andrew Gilman. Third place goes to Bryn Hawkins there after that absolutely monumental dogfight at the end there with John Glover. Fifth place goes to Ross Dunn, and then sixth place goes to Ian Mingus. So there we go, guys. That is us. That is us done and dusted for tonight. We will be back on Sunday with the finals. We'll be back tomorrow night with some awesome iRacing action as well. I'm really looking forward to it. But Tom, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Any final thoughts?
Fantastic night racing. Make sure you tune into the iRacing Championship. I'll be there in chat if that's any attraction, although it's probably a deterrent, so maybe I won't be there if that helps with the viewership. But yeah, I can't wait for these finals. And then, so like you mentioned, we got Kota coming up soon, and a few crackers left on the championship with everything still to play for.
Looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time, Tom. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. That is us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you on Sunday for the finals of round 5 of the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. I'll be back tomorrow night with Alex Goldschmidt for coverage of the iRacing Summer Championship as well. Until then, have a fantastic evening, and we will see you next time.